Good evening, listeners and viewers. Welcome to another edition of the CitizenWolf audio podcast. This is episode 20 you're listening to, the first episode of 2025. It has been a while since I've last recorded any one of these for a bunch of various reasons, technical problems and health issues, unfortunately, have prevented me from doing much of anything for the last couple of months. But we're rolling into 2025 with a lovely episode and a very special guest. We're talking to CadetRedShirt. How's it going?
Hi. It's going all right. Just a little bit of I understand where you're coming from on the health side a little bit. Been, recovering a bit myself the past I think it was 2 weeks. I just had it's flu season, so yeah. Yeah.
I guess this is the third episode. It won't be just on elements of justice, of course. We'll be talking about that, of course, in the show, and of course we're talking about all the other bits and pieces that Cadet has been getting into and is renowned for. Quite a lot of bits and pieces to fit into an hour and a half or so. Voice actor, singer, songwriter, artist, and musician. Is there any other strings to your bow that you can add on? Architect, perhaps. Rocket scientist, maybe. That's quite a lot to put on your resume. That's crazy impressive.
I was gonna say, I guess technically accountant and massage therapist, but
what?
Yeah.
Accountant as well?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So
you kept that quiet.
Just a little. I mean, it's not. I'm going in for the certification stuff this coming year. Yeah. But I've been studying it at uni, essentially, so yeah.
That's crazy. So that's quite a lot to put on your resume. Spreading out in absolutely everything. That's
just
absolutely fantastic. As I say, it makes it more difficult for me as a podcast host, of course.
I apologize.
Perhaps there's too much. There's way too much for me to focus on. As I say, loads of different people probably know you for different things. And I want to try and cover as much as I possibly can, but of course, with the time zones and things, I don't want to keep you for longer than necessary. Of course, you can stay as long as you like. I'm not going to force you. Go away. Hour's done. Bye. Don't go away. But as I say, it's a good problem to have, I have to say. but I'm a little bit rusty, folks, so I'll do my best to make this an interesting episode. But for people to listen to, that's the main thing. Let's get to it then. Okay. I think we're going to start off with the voice acting part, first of all. My understanding is you've talked about this briefly with myself outside the podcast, of course. You do have a background in radio. Was that your first foray into voice acting, or did you do voice acting before that?
Technically, timeline-wise, it was very early in what I would consider voiceover work. It was right after high school. It wasn't to college radio, but it was right after high school, and I did a morning show for the radio station that I was, yeah. It's interesting because I grew up being told that I sound and looked a lot older than I actually was.
Right.
So
okay.
I've looked about 20. I've sounded and looked about 27 for my entire life at this point. So legitimately, it's very funny. I have pictures of when I was 12, and I look basically.
You look 27 at that age.
I did. I was. I was confused for a new mom buying, or not even new, but a mom buying a car when I was at the dealership with my family when I was 12 years old.
God.
So
oh my goodness.
Yeah, and every single time I've answered the door since I was 12. Maybe 11, the person at the door has been is your husband home? So I'm
oh
it's not just me. It has to be something going on with the way I carry myself, the way I sound, something there is convincing people that I'm way older than I am.
27's a good age if it can hold it for the rest of your your days. If
I'm 80 looking like I'm 27 or sounding like I'm 27, that would be amazing. But
it's not bad going.
But that was sort of how I was hired on to be part of the morning, because I was 17 and I sounded and I guess looked like I was 27. So they were like, "Hey, are you interested in this?" And I'm like, "Sure."
So basically a voice suited for radio. As I say.
Essentially, yeah. That is something that one of them said to me, actually. Because I auditioned by, I guess, putting in commercials, like commercial breaks where it's like, you're listening to such and such radio. And they were like, you have a really pleasant voice to like listen to. And I was like, oh, thank you. Nobody's literally ever said that to me. They've always just been like, oh, is your husband around? Like, so it was interesting getting that. Like I said, that was 17, and it's been an interesting journey going from that. That would have been what I would say is my first like personal experience with voice acting or voiceover work in general. Going back to the first time I sort of like wanted to do anything like that, I was listening to a radio drama for a while. Since I think that was since I was like 6 or so, because we didn't have a TV, we had a radio.
So really early doors then. Okay.
Yeah. We had a radio and not a TV for a long time. I lived in a not very established place, I would say. I grew up on the Navajo Reservation, where there is not a lot of like running water or electricity or things like that. That was
sorry. Which state is that? Just for the British people that listen to this, like, where is that in the States? Where is that?
That's in the Southwest. A large chunk of it is in Arizona, in like the top, like the Four Corners area is where that is. If you Google the Four Corners, it'll show you exactly like where it is on the map. But a large chunk of it is in Arizona. The upper. I think it's the upper right section, and then like a portion of it bleeds into New Mexico, which is next door. But there's a lot of houses there still that don't have like running water and electricity, and that was one of the ones that I had grown up in. Like the first time I saw a TV was like wild.
See, as I say, when people talk about the US, like it's especially for people in Europe, people seem to forget how big a country the US actually is.
Oh,
it's
goodness,
humongous.
Yeah,
like state to state is absolutely ridiculous. Like you could have like different time zones, and of course you've got different weather systems, and you've got different demographics and everything. It's a crazily big place. I've been to so it's like when people say the US, it's just like it's a lot bigger than like you picture it in your
always
mind.
have to ask which part, because
is it the East or Midwest, or is it the
even just like turns of phrases change that far apart. Like I know it happens here in England as well, but like, you know, on that scale, it's like it's absurd.
It's considerably a lot smaller. There's a lot less landmass for the differences. But yeah.
A phrase that I had heard recently, I believe it was, in Europe and obviously the UK, 100 miles is really far, and in the US, 100 years is really long. So I sort of like,
yes.
I'm like, yeah, that's about what it would. That's the
it's different. Yeah, apples and oranges kind of thing, isn't it?
It feels a bit like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense now when you say it out loud. So, because I drive, I want to say 4 hours to the nearest airport for me. So that's about, I want to say it's like almost 200 miles distance.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. So I'm just like, yeah. And to me, that's like no big deal. But I say that when I go to England and people are like, what? It's that far? And I'm like, the ocean is 12 hours away. Like, it's very funny.
We're like Toy Town compared to the States. Like England is just about as big as Florida on its own.
I will have to send you a picture that I had to use to explain the LA fires, just to sort of date the the podcast. But yeah, the size of LA compared to where London is, I was like, this is where the fires are happening if you imagined it over England. And they were like, oh, and I was like, yes.
Scarily big, like thousands and thousands of acres we're talking.
Yes, exactly. But I had to use that as an example visually to show them like just how much was burning. I'll have to send you the picture. But yeah.
Yeah. It's what I was reading the news bulletins over here, like on BBC and stuff. It's absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
A lot of the Sunset Strip's been devastated.
Yes.
A lot of that's gone. A lot of other places are completely decimated. It's horrendous. But they're really struggling to try and put those things out at the moment still, because they just.
That was just
yes.
yeah. I was just saying I apologize for like the very random tangent and sort of dating where we are in time. But yeah, so where I lived was again, I had radio. We didn't have TV for a while, and there were a lot of places around me, and I actually lived in one for a bit as a kid, where we didn't have running water or electricity, so we had to go out and get water in order to like, you know, do dishes, have baths and stuff like that. And that feels like such a different life to where I am now. But like I still have family that lived like that. Like my great grandmother still lives like that on the res. So yeah, there is a lot of, I guess there's a lot of socioeconomics that are going on with it. It's not related to like Amish sort of choose the lifestyle. A lot of reservations are sort of third world countries within the US, which is like wild.
But yeah, it's as with the US, there's a lot of some states are like in terms of economically, some don't do very well as others. Others are rich. Others are in between. It's, as I say, when I'm saying the US is a big country, like it's not really. It's like a whole bunch of different countries all together in one big landmass. That's what the US is, and a lot of people seem to forget the scale of things and how states are different from one another in terms of like, all sorts of different ways.
Definitely.
So there's I suppose a lot of stereotypes. I suppose like us Brits, Brits and Europeans, and seem to see the US in different ways. But like looking at the things in the bigger picture, like it's drastically different depending on where you look on the map, as I say.
Yeah.
But, yes.
That happens a lot with Native American tribes as well. Because when you, like, there's sort of this, like, picture of just a monolith image of, like, Native American people living in, like, teepees and, you know, having feathers in their hair and stuff like that, using bows and arrows and everything. That is, like, it's an amalgamation of a ton of different tribes. Like, when I say, like, Native American, people don't think, like you said, how Europe is split into so many different countries. They think of a single image that they had seen somewhere caricaturized.
Yes, in like media.
Yeah. So
I don't know. It's when it comes to like I guess it's going into stereotypes again, isn't it? I suppose like it's I guess it's like which bit of media is popular at the time that influences or informs, if you like, I suppose, like how
for sure, definitely
how other cultures see each other, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know what Americans think of Brits. Again, it could be different depending on where you are in the US.
It also what you said is absolutely accurate. What is out in media, what is informing people, good or bad, it definitely influences people's conceptions of a place and perceptions of the people. In regards to the first, that brings me to thinking about the first time I came to England in general. This was 2020.
The year of COVID, crikey, you played it well.
Oh,
you
yes.
timed that well.
Yeah, I definitely, yeah. It was very funny because I was supposed to fly out the week before my birthday, which is in March.
Oh my!
Yeah,
that's literally before the lockdowns all started.
Yes, it was.
You could not have timed that worse.
Yeah, so my flight was fully canceled until August, when there was a little bit of a lift so that people could actually get back to like where their homes were, people that were abroad, or you know what I mean, like people that had been traveling that got locked out.
Yeah, or locked in.
Yeah,
as
or
the
locked
case
in.
some,
Yes.
yeah.
So I flew out in August, and another lockdown happened while I was there. And I was like, okay, well, but a lot of the things that media that I had been exposed to in regards to England was a lot of older things, like Regency era types of media, Pride and Prejudice, like those kinds of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the sort of stuff that like it tends to do quite well across the globe, really. Like that kind of era, like romanticized Victorian era media.
Yeah.
People lap it up all the time.
Yeah,
everywhere.
it is.
I think. Yeah.
It is sort of it's a simpler idea in and of itself, and it's like of that time period, and it sort of, like you said, feeds that like romanticized idea of what the landscape looks like. It's like it obviously still sort of looks like that in places. Like you go down to like the marshlands, like in Kent, and you're like, oh, this looks pretty much like what I had seen, you know, in these films.
Yeah. It's again, it's like, and again, like that sort of like it's there's different parts of England. You've got like Birmingham is completely different to what you get in London and stuff. So it's a lot more rougher, a lot more urban. It's not like the fancier like Kent and like Bond Street. You know what you get at Monopoly. You know what I mean? Bond Street and Park Lane and the rest of it. Like the really fancy like upper class Victorian romanticised. I
like that you said Monopoly
area. Yeah,
because
you have
very
different ones
board,
on the American. I was thinking, hang on, it's a different board, isn't it?
It's a very different, different names and everything.
I'm trying to remember.
No, I have
the ones
one,
on the
though.
American version now.
I have both boards.
Is Boardwalk one of them? If I remember, Boardwalk was one of them. Yeah, Boardwalk was one of them. But I cannot remember which colour. It's been years since I played that version. But yeah, it's
the most expensive one, the dark blue.
What, $200 per hotel and house?
Yes,
that'll be the most expensive.
Yeah, it's that one.
The one that's impossible for no one ever lands on it when I buy it ever. It's not fair.
I feel that so much. Oh my gosh.
It's the best strategy is the best strategy is apparently buy the ones in the middle, like the yellow and orange.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people say, because you've got 3 as opposed to 2 properties per set. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent.
It's okay.
That's what happens.
Hopefully that's what they're here for.
Monopoly Strats.
Winning Monopoly is easy.
Just be evil and never trade anything. That's what my brother. That's how my brother wins it every time. My goodness. But stereotypes. It's one of those things. But it's both positive and negative stereotypes. Let's just call it, or like perceptions. I should say that's more accurate. Tends to be. Tends to like fluctuate with the times. What is actually popular in the media, what's in the media, what's in the news, and so on and so forth. So, I'd hesitate to say what the general perception of Britain is at the moment. Probably not great generally. Like with in Europe, we're not doing very well. But Brexit, but that sort of stuff going on and stuff politically, we're not popular at the moment. But there you go. That's another story for another time.
I don't know if the U.S. is particularly like what's the word, plugged in to the whole Brexit thing.
Probably not. No, but they probably got their own stuff to deal with at the moment.
Oh God.
A bigger fish to fry, as we say. Let's not get into that, but it's pretty, makes for pretty bleak reading, I think, for a lot of people at the moment. But let's just see what happens in the next 4 years, I suppose.
I'm so sorry. We open with like, oh yeah, Cadet's a voice actor, singer-songwriter, artist, and then we talk about the socioeconomic situation of Native Americans in the U.S. and
what would you say? Yeah.
We're just talking about nothing but bad stuff. The fires in L.A. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Good start.
I'm having my therapy session right now.
You're getting it out on. It helps to talk about. I suppose I'm happy to give you an outlet to get.
I
out
appreciate that. Thank you. I'm sorry for the viewers. Oh boy.
It's one of those things. I think you can't really avoid it, though. To be honest, at the time, it's just one of those things.
In the moment, this is the feeling. Yeah.
In the moment. But this is perfect. That shows the podcast is flowing nicely. If we go on to different tangents, it's perfect. It makes my job way easier instead of flowing. That's what happens sometimes, listeners. New listeners, thank you for checking out. Thank you for checking out the show. And people who've listened to already, thank you. Welcome back. So
thank you for returning.
It's
and sticking through
thank you for
to
coming back
to this point.
It's a struggle. So we'll push through.
Yeah, we will.
You did a bit of background work in radio, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that exactly go into voice acting as like a more conventional sense? Like, did you start taking up more roles in the radio space, or did you start moving into like more things like advertising, or did you start actually working more for independent projects? How did you get into that more so?
I appreciate, first off, that you specified that like advertising is also a form of voiceover, because a lot of people completely miss that.
Yes, it totally is. It's one of those things where a lot of people ignore it. Like, you got to have a certain. You're trying to sell a product, aren't you? So you got to, if you've got like a voice, or you're not like putting any effort into it, like people aren't going to buy the product, are you?
Yeah.
Well, they won't hire you in the first place. But that's another issue entirely.
Yeah. But it's like every single commercial you hear on the radio is a voiceover artist that is being paid to do the commercial. Everything you see on TV, well, you know, when you have commercial ads, is a voiceover artist or an actor doing like the advert for you. So it's like people tend to forget that that's a thing. Another, I guess, spot that people forget is audiobooks, which seems very obvious, but there are a lot of people that completely forget.
I never thought. Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought of that one.
Yeah. It's a good voiceover like gig in general. But where I sort of ended up after radio was I couldn't find very many places in my area that needed any voice work. So I did go more towards online things. But it wasn't at the forefront. It was mainly a hobby when I went online. It wasn't something that I was actively like pursuing at the time. Just because like a lot of things in my personal life were very up in the air.
Right, yeah.
There were a lot of things that I couldn't guarantee for myself, including like housing. So I was like, I can't even think about trying to, move somewhere when I wouldn't have money to be able to live in a place until I'm able to live in a place where I currently am. So
yes. Logistically, you got to figure all that stuff out first before you make big steps like that. Definitely.
But in terms of online, I would say that I started actually with My Little Pony projects in 2014.
Right, gotcha, yeah.
There was a group that is now defunct that was working on animating in the actual like show style at the time with the Flash and everything.
Like show accurate vectors and things. Yeah.
A la button mash stuff, right? Like that similar like animation quality and things like that. And they were wanting to create a series about these two like characters and their like older sister character or something. And I was brought on to do backgrounds and actually draw a bunch of like, oh gosh, what do they call it? It's like items. Like, here's a table.
Assets.
Yes,
you're referring
assets.
to.
Thank you. Ugh. English is technically my second language. I forget words all the time.
No, that's
They
fine.
they just drop out of my brain. I'm like,
I didn't know that English was your second language. I did not know that at all. I didn't know.
it's fine. Navajo is I was bilingual from like birth. That's why I was like, it's technically my second language. Yeah. When I was 4, I was speaking in Navajo, Spanish, and English, and my I'm half Navajo specifically, but I was with my white grandparents, and they were confused as hell as to what I was saying, apparently. I remember hearing that story where they're like, when you just didn't remember a word, you said it in a different language, and the sentence kept going. And I'm like, oh no.
So you're dropping into like you're sliding into like both languages like intermittently, like halfway through the sentence.
Yeah, because I couldn't remember the English word for something, so I'd say the word that I knew it was in Navajo or in Spanish, and it was like, oh god.
It is quite a common thing to happen, apparently. Like if it's your brain trying to think, oh, I don't have that word in that specific, I guess, vocabulary. You have to pick it from a different language.
Yeah.
But yeah.
My little like Rolodex of words.
Exactly. Like the file's not found. I've got to I'll use that instead in its place. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. That happens quite often for me. I'll be sitting there talking to my partner and be like, so it's like this, and I have to describe it. And then they go, oh, this word. And I'm like, oh God, of course it's that word. Why didn't I remember that word?
It's only a couple of words sometimes. Then you learn it for next time. That's how it works.
Hopefully.
Says me, British person, who's like, the Brits are notoriously bad for learning other languages. It's just in our nature.
Oh, really?
Like I can't. It's just like we are notoriously bad as a nation at learning second languages. It's just really bad at it culturally. I don't know why that is. I don't know whether it's just, I don't know, arrogance maybe, I suppose, like not wanting to learn other, but yeah, we're really bad at it generally.
I was gonna say it's probably the accent, actually.
Oh, the accent.
The way that your mouth forms words is very different to the way, like, I feel like the American accent is a little bit more malleable when you want to like shift into a different language. I don't know, maybe that's just me. But
I'm not sure. That's an interesting point. I'm not sure. I never thought about it that way. The accent. I was just thinking maybe just culture, but not actually like physically, like you phonetically using the words and things. But yeah, that's interesting.
Because like,
okay.
One of the words I recently found out my partner can't say, I get not correctly, but like in the way that it's spelled, is sixth.
Oh, he sixth. Says, you're right. Okay,
yes,
yeah.
Sixth. And I was like, what did you say? And he's like, sixth. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh, that's another word that is so different because of the accent thing. So I'm like, maybe it has something to do with that. I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
possibly in some words, maybe. Yeah, perhaps. And I never really thought about it that way. Oh, yeah. That's interesting.
Food for thought.
It definitely is, but yeah, like, it's just like it's like when I like a lot of my friends and stuff, like a lot of them are bilingual, and like I'm thinking like, oh my god, am I that stupid? Like it's like it's just like I struggle with English, and that's my native language.
I think worldwide the stereotype is that Americans also don't learn a second language. Like, I think that's maybe. Like one of the things too, which I find very funny because I am very like white passing, and I've had people like on the res sort of like talk in Navajo thinking that I don't understand, and I'm like, oh no, I definitely hear what you're saying. Like, but I feel like that just happens with America as a whole, is that there's like, oh, you don't want to learn a second language. There's too much land here to already try and figure each other out. Like, you're not going to be leaving the country.
America's got its own like versions of English like across the state.
Yes, for sure. Oh goodness, so much different slang, so many different like coastal specific things. It's wild. And I'm like, most people aren't leaving the country either to go somewhere. Like,
but don't need to. Again, it's huge. It's a huge place. Like, you got the 49 states to visit. Okay, visit them first.
Going to Hawaii or Alaska is like, oh my gosh, like you're so far. Like, no, not really. But yeah.
It is pretty crazy. Like it's definitely maybe that is the case with America, but but then again, maybe because we're British and we're like closer to Europe, like landmass, like physically we're closer. But maybe it's the stereotype is stronger with Brits not being very good at learning.
That could also be true, actually.
Second languages, so that's probably why that is more prevalent, I suppose.
I was gonna say the stereotype I had heard was like that British people only want British food when they go anywhere else.
Oh, that's another that's another tangent in itself. Oh my goodness. We get so much get so much abuse over what food we like. Most of it is justified, to be fair. Like we like a lot of our food simple and brown, like like pastries and things like from bakery. We just love that stuff. Greg's sausage rolls. That's we live on Greg's sausage rolls. But that's and like we get beans on toast. That's another one we get abuse for.
Yeah. Well, okay, actually, the beans on toast thing, it's because in the US, like if you ever hear Americans complain about like, oh gosh, like Britain eats beans on toast. It's because the beans in the US are
a totally different thing, aren't they?
Sugared. Yeah. The canned beans are sugared, and like they'll have like honey and bacon flavor in them.
Oh
like
my goodness.
It's a southern style like cooking with those beans. Like you have it with hot dogs or cookouts, barbecue food, right? So
right,
it's like
yeah.
So when like the very first time I came here, I was talking with my partner. I was like, he said something about fry-ups, and I was asking him what that meant, and he's like, a fry-up? And I was like, yeah, what is in it? And he was describing it, and then he said, and beans on toast. And I was like, beans on toast? Like, I was very confused because I had only had, I think, technically 2 different types of beans. Navajo beans, which is where you have them in a stew, and the canned, like, southern style beans that I just described. And so I was like, with your breakfast? Like, oh, I was appalled. And he's like, it's great. And I was like, okay, there has to be something I'm missing. There has to be, right? So when I went to England and had a fry-up, and he's like, here's the beans on toast. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. And I tried it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so bland in comparison to the beans that I was thinking. Okay, this is so much better than I was expecting. It's literally just in, like, tomato paste. It's fine. Like
that's literally it. It's
there's
like
nothing else added.
That's it. It's like it's a really nice it's a really nice cheap meal. Like if you're on a budget, so it's good to have occasionally. Like that's all it is. We're not saying it's like cuisine,
Yeah, it's the beans on rice. It's the beans on rice equivalent in England. It's fine. Like beans on toast instead. But it was very funny just because I was like, if you hear anything about that in the future, you'll be like, American beans are different. That's why.
Yeah, it's not the same thing. It's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
I just like with I don't know. America can't really say all that much really because we like cheese in a can. That's criminal to me. Like would you call it cheese whiz? Is it? Like spray on cheese? Oh,
cheese
that sounds horrendous to me.
It's not supposed to be like an actual cheese. It's interesting.
It's artificial stuff. I don't know what
it is, and it's got Worcestershire in it.
Oh my goodness!
It just a pinch. It's just a pinch. But we do not normally eat this. It's like considered like a carnival food kind of thing. You have it like once in a while. Same thing with corn dogs. I met someone that was like, isn't like American dinners corn dogs and stuff? And I was like, what? No. You think we eat corn dogs and funnel cake and like it was very funny.
Burgers and McDonald's and
cheeseburgers every
Wendy's.
day. No. It was very funny to sort of have that happen. But Cheese Whiz is not normally a thing. You put it on like a hot dog you'd get at the fair kind of thing.
my god. Oh,
It
it still
but
sounds.
it
Oh my goodness.
I
Still sounds
get
horrendous to
why
me.
it sounds bad. I get why it sounds bad. But it's like, for me, it's like, it's to people's taste. It's sort of like cilantro, where some people taste soap and other people are like, no, it's perfect in like multiple things. Yeah. But I was gonna say it's a junk food. No, it's a junk food that you do not normally have, like not even every day or once a month. Like it's like once a year kind of thing if you have it. Usually, people that have it way more is like
So what would you say is like a conventional American meal then, aside from like McDonald's and things? What would you say is like a regular common meal? Like what would you say then? Educate the listeners out.
McDonald's is very much a lunch thing, or you cannot be bothered to cook that day. And I will also say here, hot take: American McDonald's is very shit. It's bad.
Oh,
it's
really?
Not good.
Compared to like European UK McDonald's. Okay.
Compared to every other McDonald's I have tried. Canadian McDonald's, Australian McDonald's, New Zealand McDonald's, English McDonald's. Like, it's so bad. And it's so greasy. And every British person I have told this is like, really? What do you mean? And I'm like, they've cornered the market in the US. And they're so lax in terms of food laws in the US that they can do what they want with the food. When my partner came to visit me in 2023, I warned him because he's like, I want to try it. And I was like, I'm warning you now, it will be bad. And he's like, okay. We get him a breakfast thing. So we get like egg McMuffin and a hash brown. And I said, you will see why I was so confused. This is another one of those things where I came to England and he's like, do you want an extra hash brown? And I'm like, no, I don't even want one. But he went with me to get the breakfast and I was like, here's your hash brown. And he had the hash brown and it's awful. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like soggy in comparison to, like, and that's every hash brown you get at McDonald's in the US. So I was like, and he had his breakfast and was like, I feel sick after that. And I was like, exactly. It's not great. And he had a Coke with his, because he wanted to try like multiple things there, obviously, because he's like, well, maybe the Big Mac is fine. Big Mac was just as bad. The Coke is awful. And he's like, why does it taste awful? And I'm like, it's because it's high fructose corn syrup. It's not sugar. In the UK, you use sugar.
Actual sugar. Yes, I was going to get to that. Yes.
So, and I was like, if you take a bite of the burger and then have a sip of the drink, it will taste like regular Coke to you. And he did, and he had it, and he was like, this is weird. And I'm like, I know. I know. But it's American McDonald's it sucks. It's bad. Do not, if you're trying to go to the US to have American McDonald's, you're going to be extremely disappointed. Find a different place. Wendy's
so strange
even
to
is
me,
better.
Like, McDonald's was invented in the US and like it's worse in the home country it was invented in.
Well, that just happens to a lot of things, in my opinion. Like they have more. Like I said, they've cornered the market in terms of fast food. When you think fast food, the first thing you think is McDonald's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they don't have to try as hard to impress the 600 million people that live in the U.S. Like, they're not going to have to if they, that's the first thing people think of.
Yeah, and then you're going into the KFC, then you got Wendy's and the rest of it.
Yeah.
But McDonald's is number one. Like when people say fast food, McDonald's.
Yeah,
everybody
that's
says
the immediate first thought is McDonald's. And then if you ask people to name 5, they'll go, okay, McDonald's, maybe, I don't know if Burger King is still up there, but it was when I was a kid. Wendy's, and then regional ones like Carl's Jr. or Hardee's, which is the same thing but different coasts. In-N-Out or White Castle, which is
White Castle. I've heard of that one. Yeah,
that one's so bad too.
What's that one where they always have fights at? What was that? Oh, Waffle House. Is that the Waffle House?
Waffle House is a sit down.
Oh right, okay.
That's like a Oh goodness, you guys! I don't think you guys have.
Is that similar to an IHOP? Is it IHOP? Is it the pancake house?
Similar, yeah. Similar. But Waffle House is like more, I want to say Midwest, Southeast bits compared to, IHOP, which is the whole thing.
Right, gotcha.
But in terms of like classic meals for the US, I would say like, it's a little difficult to explain because I don't know. There's a lot of different soups. The hard part as well is that the US is technically a melting pot of a lot of places already. Like that's what it's built on. So it's like it's things like meatloaf and chowders and biscuits and gravy and pot pie and bunches of casseroles. But then where I am, it's like enchiladas and steamed corn stew and like a lot of different, I don't know how to explain it, but like there's a lot of things. Sloppy Joes and burgers is probably like the first thing people think of, but that's like maybe once a week kind of thing for most people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah.
I was like, yeah.
I eat too much fast food. I've got to cut all that out. That's why but yes, that's why my health's not particularly that great. That's why I tend to it catches up with you in the end.
It does.
That's why it
truly does.
It's not a good idea to keep eating. Like, it's just like Coca Cola's the one that did me in. Like, yeah, Coca Cola. You were saying it's American Coke is completely different to European Coke, as I say. Like the key, like I don't know what the obsession is in America with corn syrup. I don't know why.
Okay, I can tell you why.
Okay, please enlighten me, because I you seem to put in everything for what I can see. I don't know why.
So,
there's a cultural thing there.
Okay, so there's a couple things, right? It's a lot of history. I'm so worried that we're not even gonna talk about anything related to why I'm here.
You can talk as long as you are. All I was concerned about is like if you need to be somewhere, you can do 2-3 hours if you want.
I was like, I don't need to, but so here's a history lesson. Okay, so you know about the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl.
1930s,
the Spanish
1940s,
flu and Spanish flu and World War II. All of that was in like 25 years ish of each other, right? It's a 25-year section where it was one thing after another. During the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression, people were like desperate for work and everything. The U.S. government signed I forget what it's called, but they signed a thing with farmers that if farmers were able to produce vegetation, if they were able to produce food products, right, that the government would buy whatever didn't end up selling, right?
Right, yeah, it's a buyback scheme, right?
Yes,
okay, yeah.
Yes, a buyback scheme for these farmers because they were like, well, if they're not being able to sell the things, they're not going to be able to buy, you know what I mean? Like, the money isn't able to be flowing. They're going to be in a negative. So the government was like, we'll buy any excess vegetation off of you. Any of your produce we'll buy off of you. So what was the cheapest thing to grow back in the day? Corn. So they grew a shit ton of corn. Farmers were able to get the seeds relatively easily because, an entire ear of corn has 150 little corn kernels on it. And they were able to grow those, and the U.S. government would buy all of the corn. Now, they signed a treaty that is supposed to last until 2045. They signed a 100-year thing on this. It's
still ongoing.
So it's still ongoing right this second. the corn. So what does the U.S. government do with the corn? They don't have any use for it technically. So they turn it into corn chips. They turn it into high fructose corn syrup. They turned it into like a maize for the hens and the horses and cows and stuff like that. They turned it into as much things as possible and sort of pay other like companies. They're like, we'll sell it to you on the extreme cheap because we need to make some of that money back that we have paid the farmers for all of their excess corn. So
that makes
yes,
sense.
It's
now.
all making sense now. Yes. So with that,
trying to get rid of the surplus.
yes, the government is getting rid of the surplus in a not great way. Around that same, like, the time in, I think it was when Coca Cola like officially changed their recipe in like the 70s or 80s or something around there. They sort of put out that aspartame, which was like a sugar substitute.
A sweetener. Yeah,
yes, an artificial sweetener. They were like, oh, that causes cancer. And they put like the scare, right? The pink packet scare. So they substituted it with high fructose corn syrup instead. And so that's what the U.S. has used ever since. Because it's like, oh, well, we can't have things that cause cancer in our stuff, but we're going to have stuff that causes all these other health condition issues.
Yep, obesity and the rest of it.
Yeah. But it's like, okay. But yeah, that's why. And it's only recently that, like, they've sort of walked it down a bit, like how much high fructose corn syrup you can put in things. And that was, I think, due to the FDA going. And that's the other crazy thing, right? Is the FDA, which is like the USDA as well. They're like the food regulators. After selling all of these corn to companies to use in products like corn chips and all of the stuff we talked about, they're like, yeah, we're signing off on it. That seems all right. And I'm like, you wouldn't say, if you're the one earning the money back, that is you're biased in this regard.
Well, yeah, because you're making money off it.
Exactly. Like, you're so biased in this regard. But like that part is like, allegedly, that's kind of my theory. Don't come at me, U.S. government, please. Please.
You heard it here first, folks.
No! But yeah, so timeline-wise, all of that happened, and we're still dealing with it to this day, which is why the high fructose corn syrup is like the easiest thing to make out of corn, excess corn. So they use it in everything.
Is that the similar sort of reason why I've seen stories about where like you've got like these cheese caves, like these big massive warehouses, big refrigerated warehouses of cheese, which is terrifying.
Caves?
Like I've like the cheese caves. Have you heard of that? Like I don't know where it is, but like there's practically like an excess of cheese in this massive warehouse somewhere in the States. It's just like that. Oh my goodness! They just stockpiling it for years.
That's because of how many cows are produced in
going into dairy
in
another
Missouri.
Region, dairy.
Yes,
yeah.
that's
a
a whole nother section of
God.
excess that's happening there. Yeah.
Oh
so,
my goodness!
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
It's bad. Yeah, and that market was also promised that the U.S. government would buy it. But cheese is a little harder to turn into other things. Like milk is a little harder to turn into other things than cheese and butter. So
yes,
but yeah.
Oh my God! Now you know. Now you know.
Now you know. Sorry for the tangent on that, but that's a history lesson, just in case anybody was curious.
We were talking about voice acting, then it turned into corn syrup and Coca Cola and cheese.
I apologize. Oh, this is what happens when you have ADHD.
Oh my goodness!
I have such severe ADHD. It's like so bad. So I'm like, yeah.
So how does that affect? Is it like does it affect like the way you think about things, or is it just? I guess it depends on how severe you have it. I guess.
Right. It does affect sort of my brain connections. Like there's already been like I would say antiquated ideas about how women have a brain of spaghetti and guys can compartmentalize better.
Right.
That's sort of antiquated in my opinion. But my brain does feel like a bowl of spaghetti where everything can be connected just by the most thin tangent, and that's due to the ADHD, I feel. That part is due to the ADHD, where I'm just like, oh yeah, that one thing, this is how it can be tied to this. So that's why I'm like, I need the questions early so that I have a guideline for what we should be talking about.
I'm telling you, listeners, I don't have any questions about like 1930s like, corn syrup, and there's nothing about that at all.
Yeah, it just came up during the conversation. So that's why I'm like, yeah, the tangents can get wild. So if we can somehow steer it back, that would be perfect.
I will do my very best.
Thank you.
I'm happy. The trouble is, I'll happily let you like go on like, let's turn onto the Interstate 24. Let's talk about 1930s US, whatever. But
yeah.
But I'm more than happy for you to do that. But I actually wanted to know. But
yeah.
Right. So let's see. That was that question one? Well, I think it was that literally question. So
I think it was the second question. The gateway into voice acting, I think.
Voice. So you talked about like you did a bit of you moved from radio, and you talked about like your early projects of MLP and stuff.
Yeah.
So when did you first started? Was it about the same time that you started like doing like projects in regards to being a singer-songwriter? When did you start writing your own songs and actually start singing your own material? Was that around the same time or a little bit after that?
So I had actually written a lot of poems prior, which I feel like is good groundwork for writing lyrics in general. I have like, I think 3 poetry books, like just little things that I thought would be neat, or like word plays I thought were very fun, those kinds of things. And I was not allowed to sing very much when I was younger, at all. The only time would have been when I was in church, that sort of situation.
Right, okay.
And I was frequently told by family members that I was a terrible singer. So that did not boost my confidence.
Oh.
Yeah, it did not boost my confidence in terms of singing. So I didn't practice very much at home. The only times I would is if like on my way walking home from school kind of things. And that would just be like me humming to myself. But in terms of poetry, that was what led me into it, I think. That took a lot longer for me to get into past the art and the voice acting.
Right.
Yeah. I think that was like the earliest song cover of anything on YouTube is 2016, I believe. And it's not super great. It's the like Pinkie Pie, I think it was Pinkie Pie cheese sandwich, like singing A Whole New World together. And it was like me and my friend.
Is that from Aladdin?
Aladdin, yeah. But it's very old, and I had actually had laryngitis right before that was released, or before I recorded it, and then right after.
Oh my God.
I've had laryngitis 3 times, which is not great. You do not want that as a voice artist in any capacity.
Well, you don't want it full stop in any capacity, but yeah.
Yeah. I just meant 3 times in voiceover. Like, that's the worst it could have been. Like,
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh. My goodness. Is that like a common problem in like the voice acting community, having problems with your voice or your vocal cords? Is that a common thing, or
if you're not trained, which I was not. I wasn't.
Right.
I'm self-taught on everything. Even still to this day, I think I had taken like 2 singing lessons ever. And that was when I turned 18, which was when I was like out of my own like family's house situation,
Right.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. But I couldn't afford to keep going, so I didn't. But that's like the only thing that I had ever had like training in.
Right.
No acting or anything either. So So I was like, oh.
What sort of things do they teach you? Like when you like to be a singer, do they teach you how to stop you like damaging your vocal cords, that kind of thing, and how to extend your range? How does that work exactly?
That would be like later lessons, I assume. Again, I had only taken a few.
Right. Okay.
But
Right.
the first ones are breath control, which is extremely important because you don't want to be breathing in the middle of words when you're supposed to be singing them, and you want to find good pacing within the song to actually take breaths to make it feel like intentional. Like everything about music is supposed to be intentional, even the pauses and things like that. I think Miles Davis had a really good quote related to it. I think it was like, you like it's not the notes that you play, it's the notes you don't play, and that also applies to voice.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that they'll train you on is the like where you pause and how you take your breaths, and projection, how to project your voice across the room or across the stadium or whatever, what have you.
And how you pace yourself. Is that how you pace yourself throughout the piece?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Got it.
Yeah.
It's like I think one of the things I never took lessons, of course. I've never done any of that kind of stuff, but I have like through the grapevine and like through things I've read and things like that. Like I think like when it comes to things like voice acting, I think the best thing to do is like to speak from the diaphragm rather than from your throat. I think because that's how you end up damaging it. I don't know how true that is.
That is
I don't know
true.
whether it's.
Yeah.
Sounds makes sense to me because that's where when you're actually trying to carry your voice, especially over like a long, I guess like a big room, or make yourself heard clearly. That's where a lot of the power is, like from your diaphragm, rather than like actually just like putting all the strain on your throat on its own. That sort of thing.
One of the things, just to add, that really gave me like a paradigm shift was in 2016 or 2017, around the time that I had started singing as well. I think it was 2017. Someone had told me, like, your voice is just a wind instrument. So you need your air, which is why you said from the diaphragm. I'm like, that's you breathing deep and being able to push the air out appropriately through the wind instrument, which is your throat.
Right,
so it's
gotcha.
Like, yeah. So that's what I was like, it's absolutely true. You do need to use your diaphragm in a lot of ways. We sort of grow up learning how to use our voice in general, but we're not taught like the best ways to utilize it, if that makes sense.
Right. Gotcha. It's that's interesting. So there's a bit of tip for you. Like, use the diaphragm rather than just your throat. You got to be careful with what you've got. Basically, you can end up damaging something.
Yeah.
So of the several projects you've worked on personally or otherwise, is there anything that stands out to you as a particular favourite? That might be a bit of a broad question, or is there anything that stands out as a favourite for you? You can narrow it down just to singer-songwriting if you like, or if you want to broaden it out, that's fine.
It is always a difficult question, isn't it?
Put you on the spot there.
I have so much fun on so many of the projects that I have been a part of. The ones that end up taking off, obviously. I've been a part of a lot of projects that never made it past the like initial stages. They never got edited together and put out anywhere. But the ones that I can like immediately remember are I'm part of this group online called Fanfickle Entertainment. It's a YouTube channel where there's a lot of people that just sort of collab together, and it's like a group of friends that just create things together. We, I believe 5 years ago, dubbed Pixie and Brutus, which is about a very tiny cat and an old military dog becoming friends.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And it's a pretty long like web comic series. But we did quite a few chapters, and I voiced Pixie in that. And I I love her. She's amazing. She's so cute and so full of like bubbly energy and I guess like naivete. She's so full of like sparkle for the world, you know? There's another project. There's a YouTuber named Dogman15 who went and did like an IDW comic dub of the like Apple family sass squash like microseries thing. And I voiced Applejack and Granny Smith in that, and I sang for Applejack in that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very well done. It's very polished. I really was appreciated to be hired on for that one. And I guess most recent one in terms of voice acting, I voiced Roxanne Wolf in a FNAF like security breach series called The Pizzaplex. And that's
Right.
by a creator, but I think their full name is not Smithy, but when you look them up, it says Smithy as well. It's one of those two, Smithy or not Smithy. But that's another group of people that sort of like I've become new friends with, collaborating on. It's very it's very silly, just because it's supposed to be like an I guess like an Office parody, if that makes sense, where it's like the characters behind the scene backstage.
Right.
Yeah. So those are the three that immediately pop into my head in terms of like favorites.
It's always nice when you work on these kind of projects, isn't it? Because like it's all the friendships and like all the new people you get to meet and like collaborate with people. That's a lot of the, not just with voice acting, but any kind of like creative endeavor, like singing, writing,
Oh yeah, definitely.
making art, voice acting, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like it's like say with me, like when I first started making my own stuff with Blender and stuff, like I've like over the years I've just started making my own stuff using Blender 3D artwork and stuff. You meet really interesting people and like they want to collaborate with you and like you make friendships, and that's a lot of that's the beauty of it, like these creative endeavors. I think that's probably one for me anyway.
Yeah, no, it's great. I really appreciate, especially in projects that have like more, I guess, roles that are being filled, if that makes any sense. Like,
Right, yeah.
In terms of the Pizzaplex, there are animators, SFM animators, and Blender animators there. There are music composition people that are making things. Same with EOJ. There's, everything from writers to background artists to, like you said, assets, making like the what is it called? Like little extra asset things like that, and the voice actors. And yeah, it's really nice to be able to meet people from different mediums that I may not actively be a part of, but like we're all creating something together and utilizing the skills that we have to make something that can be enjoyable for a big group of people.
Yes, yeah, that's it's the end product, isn't it? You're going for like the end goal, isn't it? To try and be entertaining or informative or whatever you're trying to be. Like what? Yeah, so that's the beauty of it, isn't it? So what kind of character do you like to play in these kind of projects, and for what particular reason? Is a particular type of character you like to play as a voice actor?
I think voicing characters that sound absolutely nothing like me is my favorite thing.
Right, yeah, playing somebody else.
Yeah, just completely outside of what my natural voice sounds like. Just, I think because I had that bit of like, I've always sounded this age, so being able to play characters that, yeah, but being able to play characters that do not sound like me makes it so fun. I don't know. I've been told I give off like auntie vibes as well, which is like not great. Like I'm someone's aunt.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh. So like that's me as a person. So I love playing people that are like scrappy, or like I said, people that have like a very specific zhuzh for life, or like being really really sassy or extremely old, or like, you know, like voices that just completely test my range and do not sound like me. Like, I don't think Granny Smith from MLP sounds anything like what I sound like as a person. Like, she's not, I don't know. Maybe she does, I'm not sure. But like even AJ being like, Applejack's got that sort of air to her. She just doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't, she doesn't sound like me. She can have like a bit of me in her though, like in terms of the way that she'll enunciate certain things or the pauses in her sentences. But that's the little bit of life that I'm giving the character. Like, I don't know. With Pixie, like, as another example, Pixie was right here. She's so cute and small. Like, it's very, like, it's so different to what I sound like. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But that's what I love. I love being able to transform, like, my voice into something that can, you know, portray a completely different walk of life and even time frame of somebody else. so
that's part of the appeal, is that you get to play like someone that isn't your, I guess your, that's not quite your default self, I suppose, for a lack of a better phrase. If that makes sense.
I agree. And that's part of the benefit of it being voice acting as well. Regular acting, they have like a list of physical characteristics, personality traits sometimes, even just like minuscule things like how tall you are really affects whether or not somebody will hire you in an acting setting.
Right, yeah.
But in terms of voice acting, it's whether or not you can become the character. Like, your voice can transform this picture into a personality. So it's like, yeah, that's absolutely appealing to me.
Excellent stuff. It's like, again, like voice acting, of course, a lot. I think a lot of a misconception a lot of people have is like voice acting is still acting. It's not.
Oh, for sure.
It's not acting in the conventional sense where people, like, you know, like in a movie sort kind of sense, but it is still acting. You're still playing a character. You're still bringing that character to life and like putting your personality into it. But I think that's another stereotype that voice acting tends to have. Maybe it's not as. It's not frowned upon. That's not the right term, but maybe not as like it's not as revered as, say, as being acting in front of like a big screen or what have you. But it's still very important. I think that's a good thing to point out. I think.
Yeah, it has come quite a ways since I want to say since the 80s, as well. So it's like. Mm-hmm. Just when you look at the timeline, the way I'm talking about history, I'm like, oh, so you remember the Dust Bowl? I'm not a vampire. Just so anybody, like,
she's a vampire.
I'm also not. I'm also not from the 80s. But like when you look at the timeline of like the early cartoons and things, you know, Disney really elevated the idea of cartoon movies and things like that. But the modern day thing was like with cartoons in the 70s, 80s, 90s was still like, oh, that's kid stuff, right? It was downgraded to that's a kiddie show kind of thing, or, you know.
Yeah.
Even it still happens a bit with Disney things like Zootopia. The most recent thing that I could think of where, oh gosh, who was it? It was somebody that I was talking with, or somebody that I had seen talk about it. Oh, my brain is all
one of the voice
jumbled.
Actors talked about it.
Yeah, where they were like, you know, oh, why are you doing this kids movie? And it's like, like some people will still look down on it, but from where it started, I feel like it has come such a long way in terms of the respect of other actors.
That's definitely good to see. But yeah, like comparing it to like the animations and stuff that we got now are a lot leagues ahead of what we had, say, 20, 30 years ago. Like it's like not just in terms of the standard of voice acting, but just as a whole, really, which is really, really good to see. But there is a charm to like the older, like earlier works from the 80s stuff, especially the independent stuff. Like they're cheesy, of course, but there's still a charm to them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to like knock them back for that. Even the original MLP from the 80s had its charms in different ways.
I was going to say it was kind of badass in a couple ways too, compared to now. Like people actually dying. Like,
did you start off with G1 or did you start off with like a later generation with that?
I actually started with G4. I hadn't seen anything else related. Back to the like not having a TV as a kid thing. That sort of played into it a lot, where I think, oh gosh, like when did I get a TV? I think I was like 12 when I got a TV. And that was also when we got a Nintendo 64, which by that time was quite old in comparison to...
I love that system.
Well, it's like the N64. We got the N64 when the PS2 was out already by like that point. So...
Oh, see, yeah, it came to PS2 was 2000, so that was at the end of the Nintendo 64.
Right, okay. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I was like, it was very much at the like end of it. And we had quite a few games on there. But that also counts as voice acting too. All the games that are in there that had any sort of like soundbite system to it.
Not that there weren't that many on the N64 where that actually had full voice acting.
I just meant video games. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant in Nintendo. But yeah.
Sorry. That's another one of those noodle tangent brain things.
I was pushing me into a tangent. Like, I can go into a rabbit hole.
I apologize.
No, please don't. I'm really. It's good. It's fun to dive into these things. You had. Perfect Dark was probably the most recent example on that system that had voice acting.
Right.
It like quite crunchy, because it had to compress into a cartridge.
Yeah.
But like as it's
I was thinking, did GoldenEye have voice acting?
No, it didn't. No, it had sound. It had like sound bites, like people getting shot and things, but not like actual like spoken dialogue.
Okay. So, that's a Mandela effect for me then. Which is the one I'm thinking of?
It's what else? Donkey Kong also had voice acting as well.
Yeah. Donkey Kong is the one that I had. Oh man.
Donkey Kong 64.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! I'm having flashbacks, like collecting all those collectibles. Like, oh my god!
Yeah.
Don't do it. It's torture. Don't.
I loved that game. It was so fun.
Play it now. You try and collect all the bananas and the coins and everything. Oh no, I'm not doing that again.
I was gonna say, I feel like it might be a what's the word? Oh gosh, attention. Like attention spans have gotten so short in the past bit. I feel like that's such an easy achievement. Like the rewarding feeling of being able to collect every single banana in the games.
Oh, for some people, if you
for some people,
maybe
no.
But maybe back then. But like, I just don't. Maybe it's because I'm much older now and I don't have the time for that kind of massive collectathon anymore.
That
it's
could
just
be
and RPGs.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh god, like the big games like Mass Effect and stuff, like those, playing the trilogy. I just can't see myself playing the trilogy ever again. I just can't do it. Oh, and it's just but anyway, but it's like the medium as a whole has definitely like moved forward since then. But I do have a soft spot for those old games. Definitely.
Yeah.
For that era.
Yeah.
But so where was I? Yes, I've as I say, this is what happens on this podcast, folks. We're both going when both people on the episode go on to different tangents. Both lose the direction where we going. Where was I? Oh yeah, a type of character. Blah 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 blah. Elaborated on that. Blah 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 blah.
Oh no.
Yeah. I've got it now.
Okay.
So that's on the voice acting side of things. Let's move on to your work as an illustrator, work as an artist then, for a little while. So when did you first start making your own artwork? When did you first start experimenting with making your own artwork? So was it like with a pencil and paper, or was it first in the digital space, or how did you get involved with that?
Okay. I assume everybody's done this, but like you're doing like coursework and you put little doodles on the sides of your like note taking or things like that, that they were not great doodles. But that was when I started, was in like high school, or what is it called? Secondary?
Oh yeah. Over secondary, you got primary school and secondary school over here. It might be, I think it's different in the US, is it?
Yeah. We would call it high school. So that's why I was like secondary, yeah. But that was when I was just like doodling little things, and I don't even know if I have any pictures of it. It's so old at this point. I don't know if I kept any, but it's like things like that, just doodling in the side, and it was pencil and paper. One of the things that I liked to draw in my time as well, though, for some reason, I don't know why, but I drew a lot of hands, which is like, those are notorious for being one of the most difficult things for artists to draw, but I love drawing hands. Like,
going into the Lyra meme again, isn't it? Hands.
That's not
right. Yeah,
it's not what I mean,
joking,
but like,
I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm winding you up. Yeah, please continue.
But yeah, I don't know why that I had like it's not a fixation, but like for me it was like really fun to draw, just I guess because it is such a complicated structure in looking so simple. Like hands are actually pretty complicated when you think about them, in terms of like the size of every proportion, the shape of the palm being different for every person. Like there's a lot of different things that you can do with the shapes of hands, just like you can with faces. And I just was doodling that a lot from when I graduated high school until, well, it wasn't that long, but like graduated high school until 2014, where I was more solidified in the MLP fan base. I had watched it in 2012 and 2013. And unfortunately, I think I really got into it when season 3 had just ended and the first Equestria Girls movie came out.
Oh, yes.
Such a very divisive time for the fan base.
Was it season 2 or season 3 with the wedding? Was it after that? I can't remember now.
So season 2's finale was the wedding. Season 3 was the alicorning.
Yeah.
And
very
then
controversial.
Yes, and then the movie came out.
That's another bloody rabbit hole to go into.
It is. I'm trying to stay on topic. But I was in a couple, like during that break between seasons, right? I found a couple Facebook groups to join where it was like people talking about MLP, because I didn't know where to go for like, what's the word? For that like forum experience. I didn't know about Reddit. I didn't know about any other really big places that would do that. I didn't think Twitter had a lot in terms of that either at the time.
Right, yeah.
Obviously. So Facebook was like one of those places, and there was like a big Facebook group, like I want to say 12,000 people or something. And just one day in 2014, I was like, I'm going to start like drawing. And I told my best friend that I was going to do that, and he was like, okay. And so I went out and got, so I worked at this place in the US that was sort of like a entertainment store, I guess you'd say, where it had like video games, movies, and then books. And in the book section was like sketchbooks, and it's sort of like a Barnes & Noble for anybody that's from the US or adjacent that is listening. It's like a Barnes & Noble store. So with my with my discount, I was able to buy some pens, very special like Copic marker style pens, and like paper, and in these sketchbooks, more professional looking than just a notebook. And I started drawing ponies. I took a bunch of requests from people in that in that group, which was a terrible idea because I didn't set a limit on like send me your OCs and I'll sketch them, right? I did not set a limit on how many I could send. So I got like I think it was 40 people being like, draw my OC for that hour that it was like up. And I had to like edit it and say like, please stop sending me them. I'm going to just do what people have sent me right now.
One of the early pitfalls of being an artist, I think you fell into that one.
I did. Well, I didn't know at the time, obviously, because I'm like, I've never drawn ponies before this point. I never really like delved into it other than like sketching hands occasionally. And it was like, that was it. So I drew all of these ponies. Let me see if I can find a picture for you for reference of what some of the earlier ones looked like. But let's see, my art style changed. Oh goodness, I want to say over the course of maybe 3 or so years from then. So it was like that was 2014. And I was like, I was just drawing to sort of get my foot in the door, figure out what I was even doing, thinking about all of that stuff. And then I want to say 6 months after that is when I, actually, sorry, I just remembered. I drew like anime stills before then because I was very big into anime. Sorry, I had to remember that.
Any particular series? What would it be? One Piece or something like that, or
at the time?
Yeah.
Anime was something that I was not allowed to watch. Same with like Pokemon and stuff. So when I turned 18, I was kind of like, I'm gonna just do that now.
Make up for lost time.
Yeah. So I found a website. I won't plug it.
A website? That's all you're gonna get.
It's always one of those, you know. Let me see if I. It's in
quotation marks.
Totally legal. Totally legal.
Totally
website.
Fine. Totally legit.
Yeah.
Legit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Totally legal. And
nice sound effect there.
Thank you. So yeah, totally legal open seas website, and I just started with the letter A and went down the list. I can't even remember all of the ones that I watched, but I think it was like 20 or so. You know, some of them don't go past like 12 episodes, and that's fine. You know, sometimes it's even like just OVA style where they have like 4 to 6, you know, for a series. But I really liked it. I really liked anime, like a lot. And so I drew anime stills of things that I was watching at the time. And I was very late to the party, obviously. I think that's one of the things I'm notorious for. I'm very, very late to everything that I do. Like, I mean, like 2014, I was like, oh, I'll start drawing ponies. I didn't start monetizing anything until 2018 or 19 when the show was over. So, like, I was like, I could take
right.
commissions.
Yeah, like same with me. I think, like, yeah.
Oh, really?
It's well, like I'm trying to think again the timeline again for me. It was when did I first? I mean, I think I didn't watch it maybe when it was still in its heyday, like early like 2011, 2012. I think I started watching it maybe 2015, 2016.
That's so
like
interesting that you say that that's the heyday is 2012.
What would you say is the heyday? A bit later than that?
I was going to say 2015, yeah.
2015,
yeah.
Okay.
For me, that was when people were like posting a lot and like the music scene really kicked up.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's when SFM was really big as well. Yeah, that's a good point.
Anthologies,
I was thinking
like
I was mainly thinking of just the series on its own, not the fan culture was huge at that time as well.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, that was what I was referring to. As I was like that.
Yeah, right. Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, totally understandable. Yes.
Yeah, but in regards to like anime, I went down like a rabbit hole with anime, and I was like, this is so fun. This is very interesting and very different to what I was used to in terms of media, obviously. I found some of the really old art, by the way, and I'll send it to you. It's very old. This is 2014 art from me.
Oh, that's adorable. For people who are watching this on YouTube, I'll put it up on the screen so you can see it.
Yeah.
But people on Spotify can't, so you're going to have to lolook at the YouTube version if you want to see it.
Sorry.
But yeah.
We love you, though. But yeah, so this character's from Fairy Tail. I was watching, oh gosh. Like, I tried to hit a lot of the big ones that were still being talked about. Which was like Full Metal Alchemist and oh gosh, yeah, Full Metal Alchemist and then Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Brotherhood had come out and I missed it by a couple years, but like FMA, the first one was like 2009, 2008, something like that. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is like, this is very in my realm in terms of like the drama, and they've elevated like a lot of things that I wasn't seeing in some of the other anime that I had seen. And then I got into like Cowboy Bebop, and I was trying to hit, like I said, all of the highlights that people make a list of, where it's like the top 25 you should watch.
Yeah, those are the big heavy hitters that people tend to mention. Yeah,
except for Bleach and Naruto. I could not do at the time, what was it, like 500 episodes each or something? And
I still think that's way too many. If you've got to like 500 episodes, maybe you've made too many.
I feel like it depends. I definitely feel like it depends, because right now My Hero Academia is it's getting up there in terms of the episode numbers, but I like season 7 is the most recent one, I think, that's ending the series. I think. So it's like they're leaving it on a high note, in my opinion. But yeah, it was things like that where I was just like getting into things relatively new for me. So I started drawing anime, and then maybe like a month or so later, I started drawing ponies as well. But yeah.
They're adorable. For an early drawing, I really do like the. She got like a magnifying glass.
Yeah,
I love that. That's lovely. Yeah, that's perfect.
I was like, it's very old.
Was that 20? Oh my god, 11 years. 11.
Yes, 11 years I've been here.
It's this century, but it feels like even longer. That's yes. So strange to me.
No, I totally got it. Yeah. 11 years.
But when it comes to like animes and stuff, I guess as a bit of a side, like if a series is like way too big or way too long, like it puts me off it. It's like, do I really want to start this, like, sort of thing? Of the animes I've watched, my favourite is probably Black Lagoon. I love Black Lagoon.
Black Lagoon's really good. It's one of my friend's favourite ones.
It's one of those where you don't have to have like a prerequisite, like, knowledge of the medium, if you like, to really get into it. It starts off really quick, and you're straight in there, and it's like it's really well put together, beautifully animated, and the dubs are really good as well. You don't have to like commit to like watching the original Japanese version if that's a bit too much for you. But it's very good. I have to say. But it's like things like One Piece and stuff where it goes on for like 400 years. I can't do it. I don't have the time to watch that. It can put people off, but yeah, there are some like shorter ones.
Yeah.
It's like, how do people find the time to watch these things in their entirety? True. But it's.
I think a part of that, though, is the concept of binge watching that Netflix created. Like,
Right, yeah.
That really plays a factor into, I don't want to spend such and such amount of hours doing this thing. And it's like, you could pace it where you watch like 2 episodes a day, but people don't normally do that when they start watching things. They'll watch like 4 episodes, maybe 5, depending on how long they are. But yeah, like if you've got a free day, most of the time you've got something on the TV, you know?
Yeah, it's a completely different model compared to like the old TV model where like if it's a brand new series you're watching, you have to watch it like you only get 1 episode a week. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Like with MLP. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but now in the realm of streaming, I was gonna say screaming, not that. The realm of streaming, I should say. The realm of streaming, completely different thing. In the realm of streaming, it's like you get the whole caboodle in one go. You can binge it.
Yeah, and the funniest part to me is Netflix has tried to walk that back. If you've noticed,
there are
quite a few
out the bottle
series.
now.
Yep, there are quite a few series on Netflix where they're like, Netflix original thing, only releasing Mondays, and I'm like, that's interesting.
No,
considering you made this problem.
You started this trend. No.
Yeah.
Like the genie's out the bottle now. You're not going to roll that back. No. It's. I can understand that, like what's been lost by having everything available all in one go. But I can see why what people would want to be. Like again with Black Lagoon. I binged Black Lagoon because it was that addictive. That's one of the few series I have binged. But generally, when I'm watching like a series, whatever it is, I generally like watch maybe like an episode, maybe like 1 episode a night, or maybe 1 episode every couple of days, maybe. Because like it's just, I think it's maybe too much in one go to consume in one go. Like my mom used to watch like Grey's Anatomy. I think that's still going. But like that massive medical drama that's going on for how many seasons? But like she used to watch
like
it
30
non-stop, or one after the other, non-stop all day.
No,
I can't do that. I can't do that.
Like the closest I can think of before this model was like DVD box sets.
Yes,
and that's like. Even then, sometimes they'll curate them to being a certain amount. Like I've seen that with the Doctor Who box sets, where sometimes it's not even like, or you'll find like 3 like individually packaged ones, and it's like, this is these 5 specific episodes regarding the Daleks in David Tennant's one. You know what I mean? Like they'll curate it very specifically still on the DVDs
in
like,
a specific theme within that. Yeah, BBC tend to do that. Yeah,
they still did that in the US until like 10 years ago, I think. They did that for quite a few things.
Yeah. With Doctor Who, it's interesting because I think unfortunately some of the episodes are still lost. Like they've been
really.
Like I think a lot of the very like Doctor Who's like a British institution. It's not my cup of tea, but I know a lot of people that enjoy it, and it's been around since the 60s, right? So, but a lot of the original masters. Yeah.
Just the sentence structure of that. It's a British organization. It's not my cup of tea. And I was like,
it's
wait.
No, I'm trying to. I should have said it in a different order. It's not my thing. I'm not going to say that, but I do appreciate people enjoy it. But
yeah,
it
felt more like you were saying that about it being British.
I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean it like as
I know that was
backhand
just
compliment.
That was just why I laughed, because that's what it sounded like when you said it, and I was my goodness.
That's the classic British thing of like talking something down.
Yeah, actively negging.
Straight away. Go back. I regret this. It happens a lot. It's a British curse, I'm afraid. It's like, but a lot of the episodes, like some of them are really early ones from the 60s and things, like they've lost them, unfortunately. So they kind of have to like pick episodes from different themes and put them together when they're doing the box sets. They kind of have to do that for the early ones. But yeah. But I tend to prefer like if I'm buying like a DVD box set or a Blu-ray box set even. It's I tend to prefer to have the series, like a complete thing, rather than like individual episodes.
Same.
Yeah. Maybe just I'm a completionist, but like I don't like to have like randomly organised episodes out of. I hate watching things out of order. No, don't do that.
Yeah. You say completionist, and I'm like, oh, I am so with you there. I literally downloaded Zoo Tycoon to beat all of the levels that I never could when I was a teenager.
Oh my god.
And it's not even available in stores anymore. Like, it's the old
Yeah,
Tycoon. I had to get it off of GOG. Like, so I'm like, oh,
God
man.
bless GOG.com.
Yeah. Oh,
God bless
same.
them.
Yes. God bless. They are good people there.
You're keeping those games
yeah.
active, those old games active
Yeah.
on modern systems. You can't knock them for that. You
Yeah.
can't knock them for that.
Yeah.
It's what do I like? Like Theme Hospital. That's probably my favourite game from that time period. Kind of, I love that game. And Theme Park and the rest of it.
What did you think of the sort of? I guess it's not like an update technically, but 2 Point Hospital.
I love that as well. It's
so good.
not. I love 2 Point. 2 Point. It's not comparing it to another tangent, folks. I don't care. It's my podcast. I don't care. It's 2 Point Hospital. Like, it's made by a lot of the guys that made the original people who made the original Theme Hospital, like in the 90s, the Ball Frog
Yeah,
game.
that's why I was like, it's not technically a sequel, or like
it's a spiritual successor.
Yes.
It's kind of like EOJ,
Yeah.
I suppose. But yeah,
yes,
it's,
true.
It's the same formula, but like with modern improvements and things. But the
Yeah.
only difference I'd say about it is it's not as maybe as cynical as Theme Hospital was. You could say that as a pro or a negative, depending on how you see it. Like the original Theme Hospital, it was you had like the receptionist like making snarky comments at you like every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, which is really which I kind of miss about 2 Point Hospital, but then again, being it less cynical, it makes it more of a comfy kind of game. So I kind of see why they've gone that kind of way with it. But it was the old Theme Hospital's a lot more cynical. Like, you'd have the receptionist saying things like, you could punch cheat codes into the fax machine to activate the cheat codes and things. And then like it's when you activate the cheat menu or whatever, she'd say things like the warning, a cheat is running the hospital. Hospital administrator is cheating.
Hospital administrator is cheating. Warning, a cheat is running the hospital.
Hospital administrator. She keep barking this at you. That kind of thing, like making snarky comments at you, which that's the kind of thing I do miss about 2 Point Hospital. But it's a fantastic game. I do love 2. I need to get back into that because I never played. I need to get the DLCs for it.
Yeah.
I think I got really far into it, but for whatever reason I stopped playing. I think I must have like run out of time. But I need to get back into that and reinstall it and play it again because it's a really fun game.
It is. In regards to like the voice thing you said, I'm pretty sure that there's a character in there that does do that, but not necessarily directly at the player. More like at the hospital.
Like diegetic,
people.
Yeah.
I really liked the
cheesy gubbins.
Well, I was gonna say there's a woman that does the like what is it even? What do you guys say? Colleague announcement, right? She does those.
Oh, on the PA.
Yeah, she does those, and it's so funny. My favorite one was the "We're sorry for the litter you dropped on our floor," and I'm just like, oh my god. It's subtle digs though. That's what I liked about it in terms of 2 Point Hospital.
It's a very, very British sense of humour, like that kind of thing, like a backhanded sort of like sly like digs at things, like not direct but indirect kind of thing.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I think they did it a bit better compared to what you're describing, just because it also, what's the word? Oh, there's a word for it when a game is subtly telling you to do something without at all directly telling you, or is communicating something to the player through
like subtle hint, giving you hints.
Yeah, it's giving you subtlety in that way. And so her saying that is saying you don't have enough bins in this hospital, people are throwing stuff on the floor.
Oh, yeah,
so
like the guy in the corner tells you want to sort that. Yeah.
yeah. And so it's like, that's what she's doing on the thing as well. And it's like, what's the word? There's a bunch of them that she says. Just in general, there's a lot. But that was the one that immediately came to my mind because I was like, she's so sassy the way that she says it, and it's so fun. But there's a lot of things like that in games that I absolutely love, and that's that in 2 Point Hospital. That's one of them. 2 Point Campus as well.
Have you played any of the other? Have you played any of the other 2 Point? Have you played like 2 Point Museum or any other ones? I haven't played any of those.
I haven't played 2 Point Museum. I don't know if it's fully out yet at the time of this.
Okay, is Campus any good? Is that any good?
It's an amazing elevation from from the first one. It's really good.
I need to get that next now.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I need to complete 2 Point Hospital first.
Also, I opened Steam and I just saw that Ace Attorney Investigations is on a midweek sale, and I am so tempted. I'm so tempted. The Miles Edgeworth of it's 40. It's so much money.
I haven't got to the investigations ones yet. I'm still on the first game I'm playing, because I don't know whether I talked about it in like the episode I did with James Boot.
You interviewed James. I see. Okay.
Yes, I did. It was great to talk. Please go back and listen to that after this one, folks, if you haven't already.
I absolutely adore him. He's great.
He's great. He's the all-powerful, all-knowing guy when it comes to Phoenix Wright and detective stuff. He just knows everything about it. He's crazy.
He's the reason that I started looking at the games at all. It's his fault. So like before, I was kind of like,
sold them to you.
Sort of, yeah. Before then, I was sort of like, oh, it's a series that I have like heard about, and I've seen like a couple memes, floating around. Almost Christmas Wasn't Christmas. Those kinds of things. And I hadn't really looked into the actual gameplay of any of them. And then being on the project, I think James was talking about the plans for Athena at the time. And seeing how she had progressed in Case 2, I was like, okay, like, he's the reason that these characters make so much sense and have so much fleshed out in terms of their, like, how they play in the series.
In the courtroom.
Yeah, in the courtroom, and how they interact with the other characters. And since they hadn't been introduced in the original one, this is all stuff that he's going off of from what he knows of the games and the input that they want for, like, it still has to match her, and it still has to match like every character that they've brought in. Trucy, like everybody, right? And him talking about Athena in a couple of the director's commentaries, I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm gonna see the Athena games, and I sort of went out of order.
I'm trying to think. Athena appeared in like the second game, is it? No, it wasn't the first game, was it? Was it Apollo Justice she first appeared in?
Yes, and then Dual Destinies. But I started with Dual Destinies because I was like,
so you started with the third. Was that the third one?
Yeah. I've done that with so many series.
Instead of the first one, okay.
I started with Dual Destinies because that was the one that the assets came from too, like the aesthetic of the assets. They didn't actually like rip all of them from the thing, like they were remade. But it was just really interesting seeing how much he was able to like improve her persona, if that makes any sense. Like she was great, and I was just like, wow, okay. But he's the one that sold me on the Ace Attorney series at all. I hadn't played it or anything before EOJ at all.
So would you say playing the game has given you more like a introspection of how like the characters should be played? Like after you've played the games, you've got a better idea of how the characters should be in EOJ?
For a few of them, yeah, which has been very helpful in terms of like, why are they doing this and that sort of thing. But yeah, it beforehand it was kind of like, okay, Ace Attorney and My Little Pony being combined, it's an interesting combo, but it totally works.
It is a weird it is a weird combo.
Yeah.
Like that is something. I am working on a EOJ video. I don't know whether I've said that in the previous episode, but yeah, that is one of the points I was making, because it's not those two things aren't the type of thing you normally put together, is it? You think, like a detective game and like a cartoon about little ponies running around. Yeah, that put them two together. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
But it is an interesting thing. But with Athena, like going back to the character you brought up there, like a lot of people seem to say, like based in the comments, like based in like the EOJ comments, a lot of people say how Athena is portrayed in EOJ is a lot better than in the original game, which is quite interesting to hear. Like more fleshed out and like given more of a bigger role and that kind of thing.
Yeah, which I appreciate immensely. But again, I attribute my fascination with Ace Attorney to James exclusively.
He is the almighty authority on all things Phoenix, right? He knows everything about it.
He does.
If you want to know, yeah. And it's again, I think based on, I think it's the same with me as well. Like because I was basically sold on the idea, like it was cheap on Steam, so I got the original trilogy, so I've got it on my my Steam Deck. It's perfect game for the Steam Deck because it was originally on the Game Boy Advance.
Yes,
that's how old the series
that is true.
And then we in the West, in the UK and the US, didn't get it until the DS re-release.
Yes.
4 years out, I think it was. So that's the version that most people are familiar with, I think. But like
Such a
on Steam,
small
you get a
team
nice
that worked on it as well.
It's tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but like in the year of 2025, you've got the very nice HD upscale, and everything looks lovely and crisp and lovely, and that's the best way to play it probably. And like it's great on the Steam Deck, and like I'm just terrible at it. I'm just stupid, I think. That's the issue. It's one of the OG visual novels that got big over here, because visual novels were not really a thing really before Phoenix Wright over in the West, was it really? I don't think.
I'm not sure.
I can't think of any anyway. That was one of the first ones that got big, I think. Because visual novels were big in Japan since the 80s, like the early computers of the 80s and the 90s. But like I think Phoenix Wright was one of the very first ones that like made it over to the West successfully, much to Capcom's surprise and stuff.
Yeah.
So and that's how it. That was like the first seed, and then a lot now we've got loads of visual novel games.
I was gonna say Danganronpa is the one that I thought of immediately as well as being one of
that's
the big
another
ones.
one I've played. The first one is really good. I love the first one. Really crazy, wacky, weird game. Not too keen on the second one though, I have to say. I think it's kind of like retreading the same notes again, but again, that's another segue, another rabbit hole.
Oh no! Oh no!
Take a detour. No, not again. But yeah, visual novels. That's an interesting thing to get into. But yeah, Phoenix Wright. I've nearly done the first one. I'm on case. Is it case 5? I think it is. That's the one with the where they brought in like all the touchscreen controls and things.
Does Persona count as a visual novel?
I guess. That's another one I haven't played. A lot of people say it's really good.
Yeah.
Like Persona, is it Persona 5 supposed to be the best one, or is it 4 the best one? I'm not sure.
5 is the most recent one, from 2015 or 16, I believe. 2015, I think.
But it's a bit confusing on PC because you got like I think that Persona 5 Royal and there's Persona 5 Strikers. I don't know what the difference is between the two. I don't know what the difference
Royal is the actual like full.
I just want the full one. Just give me the full one.
Yeah.
I want the one with all the stuff in it.
That's what I was gonna say. Is Strikers is sort of like a little chibi version of
right.
Of
so Royal's the one to get then.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I know where to go. I'll put that on my wish
Yeah.
list for later. Right, Royal. Okay, I'll get that because a lot of people sing its praises. Would you call it a visual novel? Maybe not. It's got visual novel elements, but it's more of a I don't know. It's a weird dungeon crawling RPG.
Yeah, it's
adventure hybrid
somewhere
thing.
in the middle, but it does have a lot of visual novel elements to it. That's why I was like, does it count? But yeah, we can debate that. We can debate that another time. I'm sorry about
you can argue that until the cows come home. Maybe for more qualified people to talk about it. Maybe we can argue the toss about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very interesting with that. Really. Where am I on my list? Where am I going? I've it's yes.
I was just like,
but yeah, please can
it's okay.
You carry
after you. No, after you.
No, you insist. No, you go first. No, after you. Ladies first. That's the rule. Please.
So,
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry. What is it? We were talking about art. I remember. That was how we got off on the
That was the original
Yeah.
original thing about like 25 minutes ago,
Yeah.
was it? So, okay, so let's go with this then. Is there a piece of art that you've made in the past that is your absolute favourite? Again, another broad strokes question. What would you say?
So in terms of actual art, I think maybe oh goodness, I think it was 2018 or 2019, but it's a very specific picture of Princess Celestia, or is it Princess Celestia or Applejack? But let me see. I'm gonna find it. I'll find it again, and you'll have it on the stream. But
I'll put it on the screen for people.
When
Yes.
I did my Flower Crown series for my Patreon page at the time, I still have it up, but it's like a little bit like less art heavy. It's also like voice acting and singing and stuff like that. But it was mainly art related, and let me see. I did a Flower Crown series where, there you are. Applejack. This was one of the best pieces I had drawn at the time, I believe. It's still one of my favorite pieces like ever. And that is it's from May 2019. My art style changed pretty drastically between 2016, because I almost like stopped. I almost full stop like quit, because I didn't have I wasn't in like a very good place at the time. The only time I was drawing was during the Semi-Perfect podcast that Saber and Race did at the time, AC Race Best. And I would draw something that they talked about, and I would send it in on Twitter as like a, at Semi-Perfect Podcast, like, here's one of the things you guys were talking about. And that was like the best that I could do that week. But I still got better. And then I joined Fanfickle and was looking more into voice acting stuff at that time in 2016. And then singing as well. And between, I want to say 2017 or 18, somewhere between 2017 and 2019, my art style was like changing, like escalating in quality, and I figured out a lot of digital things. I still draw. Like, there's a difference between there's a difference between like digital illustrations and digital like graphic design, if that makes any sense. The illustration part is still like using it's just a digital pencil that you're actually sketching the lines out yourself with, as opposed to the graphic side using a bending tool to be able to shape it perfectly to where you want it. And like using guiders and things like that, rasterizing, sorry, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like there's still that little bit of difference. So I'm still in the illustration side, so I will hand draw it, pull it up on the art program, and it's literally like Paint, where it doesn't have very good like things. It's a program similar to just the basic Paint. I think it's just called Sketchbook right now. Yeah. And that's what I still use. I'm trying to go to, I think it's Clip Studio,
yeah, that's quite a popular one amongst the artists and stuff. So you're not a Photoshop fan? Are you anti-Photoshop? Adobe?
I'm not a fan of Adobe.
I don't think anybody is,
No.
to be fair. Like it's just like the horrible practices and their software not working correctly and charging people like through the roof and not letting people unsubscribe
Yep.
and the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's a lot of there's a lot of anti-Adobe sentiment out there putting it that way.
I was gonna say all my EOJ homies hate Adobe as well. So.
That's Adobe only go to hell, etc.
Yeah. So, but
oh my goodness.
Yeah, but during that time, my art style changed quite a bit. Like when you compare this art piece, this pony picture of Applejack to the pony that I first sent side by side, it's so different, right? Like it's crazy.
It's massively different.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty wild.
It's very different.
and you can see that you can see like definitely how like the style is more solidified and more consistent, and like it's just like how you've progressed.
Yeah,
it's nice to see.
Yeah.
You can see it in real time, which is really nice.
And then here's the last version for like my most recent pony art, like in terms of the style. So it's like you can still see a lot of the elements, like you said, but they've become a bit cuter.
Cutesy eyes, yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
that's adorable. What I'm trying to think of. What was the one I liked of the one I really liked of yours? Was the was the 1980 Starlight one with the vaporwave thing.
Oh, the glimmer wave. Yes,
the glimmer wave one. I
Yeah.
absolutely adore that one. I bought like a couple off that UK PonyCon. I gave one to my friend in Germany and thought he'll love that.
Oh,
That's why I bought two. So I've got one and he had the other one, and he had I bought the was it the Goth Fluttershy bookmark as well. He had one of those as well.
Yeah.
I sent him that in the post as well, and like, oh, this is great. Like,
oh, that's awesome.
so I sent him that in his like Christmas box over last year, and like he adored it. So like he appreciated it. So like I got yes, perfect. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes. So as if any of you are interested in any other Cadet's works, I'll put a link to her shop on the description so you can check out her current bits and pieces. So
yeah, for sure. My Discord DMs are open for that.
So for any commissions and anything like, do get in touch. So I put all the links that we talk about. Literally, there's going to be a lot of links in this episode, I think. Historical references as well. When I'm thinking, but anyway, but it's fine. It's great. It's a great thing to like. I'm gonna have to listen through this carefully and find every single reference and put them back in.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know that was gonna be a part of it.
No, because like
I would have kept my rambling.
The recording of it is the best bit. The worst bit about recording a podcast is not the recording of it; it's the admin behind it. It's like
gotcha.
So
you're like over here taking notes. Additionally, you're like, hold on,
so once
this timestamp.
So like exactly. So you got the timestamps to worry about, and you've also got the like you got to render it into different versions. Like you got like one for Spotify, one for YouTube, and another version like the high quality version I keep as an archive copy. And like recording it's the best bit. It's just like finishing it and getting it all edited can be a bit of a nightmare sometimes, and like sorting out audio problems is another thing that sometimes happen. But yeah. That's one of the biggest drawbacks, I suppose, in that space. But anyway, I am rambling on once again, as always. That's what happens.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I feel like I miss my my podcasting days in general, because I don't know if you've heard of the Ninja DC. They used to do like, I think it was called 8-Bit Reacts or something like that.
Right.
And we would watch the episode and then have a little bit of a talk afterward. And that was like my favorite thing to do at the time. This was like 2014, 15, and 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like what I miss about those kind of days. I miss Let's Plays. I like we can obviously YouTube. They're kind of like fallen out of favour in recent years. People, but I like watching people like play a video game and like do like play through it for a first time or do a speed run or something. I like watching that sort of stuff. And podcasts as well.
That is what I do on Twitch.
Yeah, so I love that kind of. I'll have to check out. When you're next streaming, I'll have to. What game are you playing at the moment? What you're streaming at the moment?
Ooh. Let me see where my list is of what I'm doing. So on Twitch, sometimes I do once a month this thing, where it's called Torture the Artist, and people will make a random art suggestion, and it can't be OCs because I don't want to hurt no feelers. But during the art process, people will spin a wheel of torture, and then I will try and draw the art using whatever hindrance that they've given me. Like draw it upside down, like those kinds of things.
Gotcha, complication. Yeah, right, cool. That's cool.
Yes, yeah. So those kinds of things are what I do once a month. I will draw things for like, what is it? Like song artwork. Which I sing on YouTube, as we've talked about previous, but I'll do like thumbnail art and speed paint videos for that. I'll stream those as well. Sometimes, like, I have been going through Hades recently.
Oh, that evil roguelike. I'm terrible at it.
It's such a cool isometric roguelike, and I'm just like,
it's
the
a
art
brilliant
style
game.
is
I
gorgeous.
just suck.
The voice acting's amazing. Like, it's okay. The best part for me is how sort of, what's the word? How easy they make it to just hop right back in.
Oh, yes, definitely.
I know that that's like part of the point of roguelikes, but like every time you come back to the like reset, right? There are still story elements happening, and it doesn't quite happen like that in something like Cult of the Lamb, which is also
that's a great game as well. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't quite happen where there's story beats every time you come back or die or anything like that. Like, you'll build up your camp, but like in Hades, a lot of the story elements will come through. Like, you'll walk in and overhear a conversation between your father and one of the other people that are there, or like if you've defeated Meg, she'll be there and talking with someone else, you know, like you'll hear things like that, or get little extra contextual clues for what Zagreus's life is like and what him leaving is doing to everybody else. And I really, really appreciate that, because you don't lose when you go back. You get more
more flavor text, you get more story, more background. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's
which
very
is like
well
perfect.
Very well. It's fantastic at that. It's just I'm terrible at it.
Yeah.
The second one is out. They're doing like is it the beta on Epic Games Store? Yeah, I'm not touching it on there. Nope.
I think it's out. Let me see.
Was it still on early access? I'm not sure, but I think it's early access. Or I could be wrong on that.
Let me see. Oh yeah, okay, early access.
Yeah, so I think they're doing like the beta like for next 6 months, and then like they release the full version on Steam like after the beta's finished or whatever. I'll wait for the full version before I touch it. Just because like I don't know, I worry about like burning out on a game before it's actually fully out.
I see.
So I tend to wait for the like version 1 and then start playing it because I've got the whole thing there. But yeah, when it comes to roguelikes and stuff like Balatro, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
That game. I love it, but it is absolutely evil. But it's perfect. It's just like the perfect loop. Like, have another go. Go on. I'll give you some better jokers this time.
I was gonna say also, Local Thunk, the developer, is like such an amazing human. Like, he hired somebody on Fiverr to make the songs, right, for the game.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't expecting it to really sell. It blew the heck up, and then he goes back to the Fiverr music artist, the composer, and is like, hey, we're gonna sign a contract to get you more money.
Yeah.
Like, he literally went back. Like, most people wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, if you
exactly, but like,
you sort of didn't expect it to happen, but like, just the fact that he was like, no, that's the right thing to do. I was like, thank you, dude. You're amazing.
Yeah, like it felt like, because of, like, his piece of work is actually like gotten huge. It's sold out how many millions of copies now. It's exploded, and that's great to see. That like, go back to the artist, like, just make sure that the artist who made the music doesn't feel cheated. He doesn't have a leg to stand on, but it's nice to go back and say,
exactly,
like, you deserve more money. You're a part of this as much as my own programming and what have you. So you deserve a cut of the money, which is great. That's great to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I was so happy when he said that. Like, when I found that out, I was like, okay, that's perfect. And he has also put in his will, I think, this is what I've heard, he put in his will that he doesn't want the game to be associated with IRL gambling stuff.
Yeah.
Like, no loot boxes
Yes.
in that regard, no actual money going into it. And I'm like, that's great. Like, if he dies, nobody's allowed to
monetize it in that way. Yeah, so literally,
Yeah.
it's really bizarre, but you'd think it'd have like gambling mechanics, but it doesn't. It's not really a gambling game. It is, but it's not. It doesn't have any of that like microtransactions or any of that stuff that like predatory stuff that like tends to like grab people in, which is great. It's
and it follows its rules like perfectly. It's not the house always wins style.
It's literally
which is what you expect
literally
with
just
gambling.
pure. You don't ever feel cheated either playing Balatro, even if you're playing playing badly. You can that's me playing bad. It's not the game cheating me. It's me not playing my cards or hands very well. It's so good. Even though I'm terrible at like poker in real life, like I feel playing that game, it's completely different. It's like Blueprint, baby. Get Blueprint every single time. Get Blueprint. It always forces me to play face cards, and it always kills me at the end. Like you get cards that buff your faces, and then like, I'm going to play the plant or whatever it is and kill your faces. Bye. Run again. Run over. Start again.
Yeah.
But I love Balatro. I love Balatro. Roguelikes are very, very addictive and very Moorish. Can't stop playing them, but that's the one I'm playing an awful lot at the moment.
For sure.
But yeah, that is really great.
Hades is the one that I was invested in.
But it's just like, I'm just terrible at it. I wish I was better. Maybe I just don't have the dexterity to play that kind of game. Maybe if I play it again, I'll have to give it another go. Maybe, but I'll have to. That's on my to-do list, I suppose, because like it is a very good game. I'm not going to take that away from it. I'm just
also just a last thing on it. I know it says God mode in the settings, but it's just like a death resistance. It's not actually like completely making it so you're like fully a god in the game. So don't feel bad turning that on if you want the story more so, because it helps you in battle by giving you like a 10-20%, like every time you die it gives you an extra percentage bit,
like just
resisting...
onto your base stats just to help you out a bit more.
Yes, exactly. So it's like, I know it says God mode for anybody that gets like uppity about making the game
I'm
easier
not
for
like
yourself.
I'm totally all for things like making accessibility options in games. I'm totally because it's a game at the end. You play the game however you want. It's not gonna.
Yeah.
You can play on the harder difficulties if you want to. If you're an absolute sadist, you can if you want, but you don't. That doesn't.
the option being there is really important.
Exactly. Yeah. Having the option there is crucial. Like making like with things like Celeste, I think has like accessibility options where like if you find it too hard, you can turn on like a mode to make like give you more of a boost if you like, if you're just more interested in the story. The options like that are important, and I do a lot of people like don't turn that on, it's for babies. But no, you can play the game however you want. A lot of people get uppity about that kind of thing for some reason, but it's accessibility is important. You can play that game wherever you want. Really, it doesn't. Yeah. If you're enjoying it, who cares really? I can understand if you're making the case for something, I don't know, like Dark Souls or something like that. There's a bit of a more of a balance to tread in that regard, like making it too easy. Like half of the appeal of Dark Souls and things is really difficult. But I'm all for accessibility options when it comes to games and make them more accessible and fun to play for people who might not be as good at games in general, or just have disabilities and things like that.
Or even just the time.
Exactly, yeah,
to be able to invest in, like, putting in so many hours to be able to get a certain thing is like, it's a lot of time to be investing, and we don't have a lot of free time. No, not current day and age.
In my early 20s, then I had stacks of time, but like now, when working a full-time job, it's just you can't do it. You can't do it.
Exactly. So it's like little things like that, making the game more of a game, more of something that I want to like put time into, because otherwise I could just go and draw instead.
Yeah,
exactly. Do something
yeah,
else.
exactly. So that
Like
whatever spare time you've got left, you've got to allocate it carefully, and gaming is not always the top priority. On that regard, that's completely fair to say. Okay, so where am I now? Oh, yes. I'm going back to this happens a lot, flitting back and forth between certain things.
I apologize.
No, do not apologize. Do not apologize. It's absolutely.
That's just gonna be the quote from me from this.
I'm just gonna. What's gonna be the title? Like the one with all the corn syrup. I'm gonna call it or something.
Oh God, no! We only talked about that for like 10 minutes.
10, 15, 20 minutes. Who cares? Like that's the only podcast talking about it.
In 2025.
In 2025, it's our niche. We've carved out a niche for ourselves.
Oh God.
Right. Okay. Here's a good one.
I'm obviously invested in a lot of different art mediums, by the way. Yeah. If that's not apparent,
it totally is apparent, and that's great. Which is fantastic. So here's a good one for you. What would you say is your biggest influence as an artist or a performer? Any particular individuals or groups that stand out to you? This can be in the terms of like as an artist or a voice actor or as a songwriter. Any of those mediums. Anyone that stands out?
Okay. I think there are more in terms of voice actors than there are anything else. I would personally, that's what I think. In terms of like music, we'll start with that, I guess. Art, it was sort of just the show, and like anime in general, like, and anime is such a broad category itself. But those were my art inspirations. And then in relation to music, I would say personally, my voice fits musicals, Broadway style songs, like way more than it does like pop music or sometimes even like classical songs, like operatic. It's not quite operatic, but it's more Broadway. So somebody like Idina Menzel, who more recently people know her as Elsa Frozen.
Oh yeah, right, gotcha.
Singer, voice actor. But she was also in the movie musical Rent and as Maureen, and then on Broadway was the character of Elphaba. Very topical, actually, for the current time period. But she was Elphaba in Wicked on Broadway with Kristen Chenoweth, who Kristen Chenoweth was also in the MLP movie in 2017 as the hippogriff girl, the like young one Small Thing.
Right, gotcha. Yeah.
So that was Kristen Chenoweth who played Glinda in Wicked on The Thing, and they're both actually the Wicked Part 1 movie as well as like a little cameo thing, which is very fun. I was so excited to see them. But Idina Menzel is like a voice inspiration. And then in terms of like bands, I guess it would be like Ninja Sex Party, which is like so out of the norm. I love them. They're so fun. Twerp as well. But like they have a really great work ethic, actually, in regards to what they do. I know what they make is like comedy rock, but like I love that. Being able to find your niche and like make your voice stand out and create something that so many people can like relate to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I love that about NSP. They did great. In terms of voice actors, there's a lot, but the first two that immediately jump to mind are Lucy Christian and Brittany Karbowski, who are actually both they did a lot of anime like dub ADR.
When you say ADR, what does that mean for the layman? What does ADR in voice acting mean? What does that mean?
It's like automated dialogue replacement, which is essentially it's used in actual films for like scenes where you have to redub an actor where they're like, you know how on a set they've got specific microphones in specific places and sometimes the line doesn't get picked up, so they'll do pickups, and that's the ADR in the traditional sense. in terms of anime, the automated dialogue replacement is for translating it into different languages and matching the flaps, but also like making the translation make sense. Like matching mouth flaps. I'm using a bunch of words. So in animation, they'll try and match those while keeping localization as a forefront in their mind. So Brittany Karbowski and Lucy Christian do a lot of that in terms of, I think it's with Funimation, or was with Funimation. Now they've been acquired by Crunchyroll. Oh, I'm trying to think of characters Lucy Christian has voice acted as. They've also done a ton of like kids shows kinds of things. But I really admire their vocal ranges as well, especially Lucy Christian. She can go from a literal like 65-year-old woman to a 14-year-old like girl in terms of her voice range. It's amazing. She needs to be in more stuff. Brittany as well. Brittany Karbowski needs to be in a lot too. There's a couple people that aren't in the scene, quote unquote, anymore. This is gonna be another tangent. I'm so sorry.
Carry on. Taking it all in.
But in regards to the ADR stuff, a really popular one that people probably don't know is Jeremy Cummings voicing Scar in the Lion King movie.
Yes.
Doing a bunch of the pickups and the singing for Be Prepared.
Yes.
Because Jeremy Irons could not sing that song.
I've heard that. I think his Jeremy Irons' voice blew out or something, and then like Jim Cummings had to take over for that part.
I was to say he didn't. His voice didn't blow out. He just can't sing at that bit. Like his voice is so like gravelly, and he's like, you know, like a 10-pack a day kind of smoker. Like it was that level of like sound, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah, gotcha.
And so they were like, he can't sing this
you
song.
You won't get a sniff without me. When he does that, tears your throat to pieces. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say that whole song is Jim Cummings.
That's mad.
Even those ad-lib bits, yeah.
He's also
and
the voice
I was
of
like,
Winnie the
he
Pooh
sounds
as well.
so close. He is, yes, he is. He has a huge range, and he's also one of the. I was looking for like female ones specifically, so I said Lucy Christian and Brittany Karbowski. But like in terms of just overall, Jim Cummings is like top tier. Jim Cummings, Maurice LaMarche, and who else was I thinking of? Oh boy.
There's a lot of names you can throw out there in terms
of
the voice.
Like,
in the voice acting realm. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, but I guess those four is who I would say immediately come to mind: Maurice LaMarche, Brittany Karbowski, Lucy Christian, and Jim Cummings. Oh man.
Thinking, I wish I said that person. No.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, so many more popping into my brain.
Start reeling them off for 2 hours.
Ugh. Yeah, this will just be, it'll become voice acting appreciation hour for an entire hour.
So when it comes to like voice acting, so how exactly does the audition process work? Is it different from project to project, or is it tends to be similar sort of format each time? How does that exactly work? Do you have to apply for the role, or do you?
Okay, so there are a couple different ways it can go. If you're looking for in person, that's a bit different to online. So like, it's difficult to explain. Usually there will be like a posting somewhere, and you send in a voice reel to sort of show your range. And then if they like your voice reel, they'll ask you to come in, show you a character that they're trying to get a voice for, give you a few sort of basic lines that you can say, and then you sort of, and like what the character is sort of like in terms of bullet points about their personality, right? So if they want energetic, spacey, serious. Like they'll have those in bullet points
Right. Yeah.
on the side next to where the lines are, and then you interpret the lines however you want, and you do a couple recordings of it, and they'll keep it on file, go through with a director or whomever is going to do the initial like casting for it. And if they pick you, then you're good to go. Then you come in and do the rest of your stuff. If you're doing online projects, it's quite simpler, I feel. If they haven't already heard of you and come to you and say, hey, I've heard you in this project. Can you voice act for this thing that I'm doing? If they don't already do that, you sort of find projects that have a casting call listing on Casting Call Club, or YouTube open casting calls. And those will be like, somebody, if they want specifically someone with voice acting reels as well to sort of show their range, they'll ask for those. It depends on who is uploading this online project and like what they're asking for in their casting. So
Right, gotcha.
I was like, yeah, online, it's pretty simple to audition. Sometimes they'll also just have the lines ready for you, like on Casting Call Club, and they'll be like, these lines I need said, and if your voice sort of matches what they're looking for, they'll, bring you on immediately. Or if there's two people that they're trying to go through, they'll ask you for more lines between you to sort of see what your range is like and the quality of your microphone at home and stuff like that. I think the only issue with online projects is them like actually coming to fruition.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah. I've been a part of like 200 different projects, like fully, but only like, I want to say only like 40 of them have ever seen the light of day and ever been publicly released. So yeah.
But do you keep audio clippings of any of those like unreleased projects? Or
I have a few of like bloopers, but I don't know that I've kept the entire like audio file that I had for that project, just because if it's not gonna come out, then what am I doing with this audio? Like it's taking up space on my hard drive at the end of the day. So it's all technically lost media for me.
Oh no, lost media.
Yeah, but I have, like I said, I have a bunch of bloopers of things that I found really funny in relation to them.
So here's one for, have you ever been in an audition that for a role that you really wanted but for whatever reason didn't get it?
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. Yes, definitely, absolutely. I was auditioning for a couple characters. This is I want to say 2017 or so, maybe 2016, 2017, somewhere in there. I'm bad with dates, all right. I was auditioning for a project that it was also one of those that didn't end up getting finalized, so it never ended up releasing. But I was kind of devastated that I did not get cast for this because there was someone that was a bit more like I guess more of a recognized name. They were a bit more famous than I was.
Yeah.
And they got the role because they had that to back them, even though I actually had someone DM me from that group and be like, hey, just so you know, I actually thought your voice was better. And I was like, whoa.
That's something.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Like, I didn't expect that, but thank you. But yeah. So, I guess, like, but still, at the end of the day, like, you can't let that hold you back from pursuing the thing. Because if I had let that bother me that much, like that rejection back in 2016, 2017, I would not be voicing Sonata or Applejack in EOJ. And I definitely would not be voicing Roxanne Wolf in the Pizzaplex thing. So it's like, yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, you don't let it bother you.
I guess it's a confidence thing, isn't it? Like you can't like stop yourself from applying for different roles because you have like a slight doubt that I'm not good enough for the role, I think.
Yeah. One of the things that Jeremy Lee, who's another brilliant voice actor, had said was, even if you don't get cast, you are that character for your audition. So you still technically got to be the character.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you know what? That does kind of ease the blow a little bit. It does help. Yeah. I think another thing that Brian Doe, who voices Timber Spruce in the MLP stuff, he had said if you don't feel nervous, like, then you're not as invested as you probably should be.
Right, yeah.
So it's like feeling that little bit of nervousness about not getting a role that you really want is a good thing. So it's like there's a balance between it all, and not letting it deter you is really good to do.
It's so you would say to people, just apply for, if you pretty much apply for it, even if you think you're not going to get a role that you're looking for, still apply for it anyway.
Yeah. Because even if you don't get a role this time, somebody that hears like your audition, because Casting Call Club keeps the posts up for like stuff that you've been cast for and stuff that you like auditioned for, it'll show up on your page. You know what I mean? So it's like, even if I found a Zecora voice actor that way because someone had auditioned for a Zecora in another project, didn't get cast, and I heard their audition and went, "You sound amazing. Can you collab with me? Because that would be pretty neat." And they were like, sure. And I was like, perfect. So like you can still be found that way, and you can also use it in your voice reels. So don't be afraid to audition.
Like add it to your portfolio.
You can utilize. Yeah, exactly. You can use those for future endeavors. So
when it comes to reading and recording lines, does this process differ when it comes to performing online as opposed to actually being in person in the studio? Is there any major difference between the two?
I would say so. Online, well, okay, in person, in a studio setting, you'll usually have like a voice director and a sound engineer and like a bunch of other people that are like working with you. It also depends on which type you do, because if you're doing the dubbing or if you're doing like a brand new show where you are the voice that's leading the character, like in MLP, they were all in a group recording together. So it's like, and in ADR redubbing, like, you know, the localized anime stuff, it's a single person matching what already exists. And they don't usually have a group of people there to record together. It's very much a singular process. And so online, you can sort of have a voice director with you if you do like a call, similar to how we're doing here. But most of the time, like, that requires both people being available at a reasonable time for each person, which can be very difficult considering work weeks don't quite look the same when you're halfway across the world either. And if you're not on like a full-time schedule, it really throws a wrench into everything. So it'll make it easier to just send in your audio. Like, you've been given the script, you record at your own pace, send in the audio, and then you get notes for retakes, depending on what the director or the project decides is like better overall, like what they need changed. So they'll give notes in that regard. Also depends on the project, because everybody online can be like, it can go from novice to master in terms of their project competency. So it's like you really, you know, you're really taking a chance when it comes to online stuff, but not in a bad way.
Gotcha. Do you prefer one or the other? Do you prefer like being in a studio, or do you prefer working like online in that kind of scenario?
I do like recording at my own pace, because I am like by myself, because I am sort of self-conscious about my voice. I feel like I don't act right when someone is actively listening to me acting while I'm doing it. It's like, what's the word? It's like if you're singing and you have an earpiece in your ear, that's actively showing you how you're not hitting the note correctly. So you're like trying to tune yourself live, if that makes sense.
Right, gotcha. Right, yeah.
Yeah. So like I sort of tune my acting live. So like the first half of the sentence might not be the best, and then the end is really great. And they're like, could you just redo that one? And I'm like, oh no, what did I do wrong? And it's like sometimes it's hard for the person to say what's also wrong or not know how to communicate what they want to change.
Right, gotcha.
Because I've also had some people recently. One person tried to send me an AI file being like, I want this sentence to sound like this AI sound. And I'm like, I ain't gonna do that. I'm so sorry. I'm not gonna use AI as a guide for like what you want the sentence to sound like. I'm just gonna record it myself.
Yeah.
I'll contact you in a few days. And then I give them the thing and they're like, oh yeah, that sounds way better than what I was looking for. And I'm like, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Don't touch AI ever again. Just
yeah. Just use better words.
Yeah.
I know you can do it. I believe in you.
My goodness.
You don't have to have an AI record like the voice note. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, just do it yourself. That's even you think it's gonna come out.
Yeah,
terrible,
you could
it's
also
way...
do it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's another going into that, like going into the AI, wading into the AI debate. Like, oh my god, that's another 2 hours on top.
Oh boy, I'm so sorry.
No, don't apologise at all. But like, oh my goodness, it's just how much tangents can you cram into an audio file? Well, we'll find out.
It's gonna be 73 by the time we end this.
Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Oh no.
I think we're going to what we'll do now then. Okay. I can't believe we haven't really EOJ. We haven't even talked about Elements of Justice at all, have we? It's nearly 3 hours in.
I'm so sorry. I was like, I have a question for you, actually.
Oh, okay. Please carry. Yes.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What did you know that I did aside from EOJ?
Oh,
before this,
I think the art definitely. That's the one the stuff I was aware of you first before EOJ. I only became aware of EOJ Elements of Justice since Garlicon last year. That was in Germany. That September time. So I well, of course it's the sequel, spiritual sequel, if you like, to Turnabout Storm, which is a really popular, really early MLP fan piece of work that's still really popular. 2012, which is really early G4 fan content that's actually complete, which is pretty crazy. It was either like the Dusty Cat was doing a panel and EOJ was doing a panel, so I literally had to pick one of the two, so that led me into like making binging Turnabout Storm again, watching it again, and then like starting watching Elements of Justice again, and then and then I realised, I didn't know you were a part of the voice actor crew. I didn't know at the time because I knew you the art before.
Gotcha.
But then again, I'm not really privy to a lot of the stuff that goes on in the MLP fandom and stuff. I'm quite late to the game.
Not anymore.
No, I'm really late to the game with everything, and thought, oh, that happened like 2 years ago. Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
No, I get it.
But yeah, that's when I started watching EOJ, and thought maybe I could try and maybe talk to some of the people involved with it, and I managed to get a few people on. Talk to G. Unfortunately, of course, he's no longer a part of the project, which is a massive shame. Left the project, so I talked to him on. He was the owner and director at the time, at the end of last year. Then I talked to James. That was the episode after that one, before this one, and of course this is. I guess you can call this episode. Would it be episode 3? No, well, if it's a tiny part of the podcast, we mainly talked about like Coca Cola and burgers and beans on toast and 1930s America and 1930s America.
It wasn't that long, I swear.
It's just like it's gone on on a road trip, like on a super. But I absolutely enjoyed. But anyway, I'm we're both just as bad as each other, like going on to our own separate tangents and things like that.
Yeah. If you want me on a future one, I can.
I'm more than happy, more than thrilled to. If you want to come back on, you so wish we can have it. You could talk about anything you want. We could start it off as a therapy session and then like sort of evolve from there. I think.
Yeah. We had to get all of it out of our system. We just had
to. Please talk to me about this.
We had to leave it at the door. We had to leave it at the proverbial door of the podcast.
At the very beginning,
the baggage.
I'll put time cards, I'll put time stamps in the description. It'll take me a while to sort it, but I'll do it. But anyway, yeah, so EOJ, GalaCon, that was last year. That was the first time I discovered Elements of Justice, and then like I decided like working on my own video about it. I don't know when it's going to come out. It's taken me quite a long time to rewrite it and write it, and oh my goodness, it'll be out when it's ready. Maybe the end of 2025.
It'll be out with the finale.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong there. Oh my goodness.
Oh
no. Be my magnum opus, I guess.
Get in the comments.
Like, comment, subscribe, please. Like, comment, subscribe, please. Oh my goodness. Right. So
place your heckin' bets in the comments.
Place your bets.
On when it'll come out.
Place your bets now. 20-1 before the end of 2025. Maybe.
Yeah.
So how exactly did you get involved with Elements of Justice, or EOJ for short? Did you audition for the role, some of the roles, or were you asked to get involved? How did you get involved with the project?
So, fun story. I didn't play any of the Ace Attorney games, right? I had never seen the original Turnabout Storm.
No.
At all. I know. I still haven't watched all of it, technically speaking. But I hadn't seen anything related to it. I was in a public server, just a regular server, where it's like just a pony Discord server in 2020, where somebody, I think it was, I don't remember who it was actually, but somebody asked like, hey, are there any voice actors in here? And somebody tagged me and I was like, yeah. And so they DM'd me the casting call club page. This was back when Al Javis was running it. So it was like a one-man show initially. In 2020, he had like gathered a bit of people. It was like 20 to 25 people at the beginning, where he finally branched it out and was like writers and sound editors and video animators and editors, and then voice actors was the next stage of it. So Al Javis was in charge of the project at the time, and I just auditioned on the casting call club page, and they were like, yeah, we're looking for the voice of Sonata. And I was like, okay. So I sent in my audition, but it was pretty late when I sent it. And so I couldn't be like super loud with the objection and whatever. Like, hold it, you know. I didn't know how loud they were either. Cuz in the references it gives like clips of what Sonata's voice sounds like, right? And it was kind of late. I didn't know how loud the objection, hold it, take that was supposed to be. So I also was like I said, it was quite late, and I have like a house full of roommates and stuff, or housemates. And I sent it in. There was a little bit of like a snafu when I was while I was being cast, but it has since been like resolved, obviously, and I've been a part of the team ever since.
Nice.
Yeah, which is pretty good. I started out as Sonata, and then I saw that they were looking for an Applejack, and I was like, well, I could do Applejack. And they're like, really? And I was like, yeah. So I sent in my Applejack, and they were like, okay, perfect. And yeah, so I also voiced Applejack, and then I was like, do we need any social media artwork or anything for like the actual thing? And I designed Diamond Tiara's back, like her bedroom. They gave me like minimal notes. They were like, you know, we need her bed, obviously, because it's a bedroom. We need a trash bin for like the clues thing in case 2. And I was like, okay. And I designed this like enormous bedroom where I just went off on it for no reason. Like, I did not need to draw as much as I did, but it was very funny that I did that. But I had fun. I definitely had fun.
That's the crucial thing. If you're having fun, and if you're not having fun, there's something's gone wrong. Then I think somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I did the defendant lobby.
You drew that. That's so nice.
I did. I drew that one. So I was like, what kind of a girl is Diamond Tiara? Like, I did a live stream of it too, and nobody knew what I was doing. So this is the only one that has existed where it's been related to EOJ backgrounds specifically.
Ooh.
So I was like, yeah. So I was like, I'm going to draw Diamond Tiara's room today. And everybody's like, wow, okay, let's go. So I drew it. But I was like, what would her room look like? And I was like, I don't want it to be a normal bedroom. She has taken the master bedroom from her parents, the biggest room in the house. And I was like, she's going to have giant plushies everywhere. She's got random clothes. She's going to have... I said this in the live stream too. I was like, she's going to have a diamond tiara for every day. And that's why she has 5 on her
Monday through Friday, she's sorted.
Yes. Yeah. And the one that she's wearing is like the Saturday one. And I was like, I want there to be like drapery everywhere to give it that like princess vibe, because she thinks of herself as a princess and she's been told she's a princess by her dad, like every time. And then I was like, I'm also going to draw the like the little like angel with the with the harp, you know. I was like, that's where it's going to be. And then I did a bunch of doodles where she's actually drawing in like an anime-esque style. And that's what's posted near her bed. It's like a picture of Trixie that Trixie signed. A very silly doodle of like, what's the word? What is that? What is the name? Oh no. The what the hey. Yeah, there's a what the hey pony there that I did where it's my OC as a what the hey pony.
Oh, is it Round Trip? Is it Round Trip?
Yes,
Round Trip. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I did my OC in like a more anime style on one of them, and then I think it's Soundman's OC as like another one. So I just did a bunch of silly little anime doodles for it, and it was so fun. And I designed like, I love designing clothes for characters, like a ton. That's my bread and butter. I love drawing outfits for characters because it's such a good way to express a character without them ever having to speak whatsoever. You can say so much with an outfit. And so I drew a bunch of outfits that she has literally canonically never worn, and they're hanging up in the corner. They're just chilling. She's never gonna wear them, but I was like, I'm gonna do this anyway. But that's one of the art pieces I did for EOJ, and then the I guess the most iconic one is this one. I did an updated
the lobby.
Yeah, updated defendant lobby, and I obviously added my own artwork there.
On the portrait of Celestia and Mare.
Yeah.
In the back.
Yeah, they didn't have any suggestion for what to put there actually. I just decided in the moment because I was like, what should I put there? And they're like, I don't know. And I was like, is it okay if I put something that I like think is funny? They were like, sure. So I drew Celestia and Mare a la Mulan, the Emperor, and his advisor in this picture, and I just thought it was really funny to do. And they actually carried that over into the case 3.
Case 3, yeah.
The Cloudsdale one, yeah.
It fits thematically though, because like it is Celestia's court, I suppose. So she would have a portrait of herself in there somewhere. It does make sense to have that.
Yeah.
Though. So it does fit. Yeah. It fits.
And it's like the Ponyville one too. So
yeah,
I was like, Mare.
I didn't realise it was a Mulan reference. I didn't know that. I thought it was just a...
Okay, here, I will send you the Mulan reference so that you can see it. Yeah, it's very niche in my opinion. Here it is. Which I thought was really it's such a I don't know if it's a deep joke. I felt like it was a really funny deep joke. In my opinion.
In your opinion?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness.
So, I think it's Korean. I think it's Korean where they refer to emperors as sons. And so I thought it would be really funny to
I'll go for the pun there.
Borrow
Celestia's son.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That's,
I understand.
I know
that.
it's... Yeah, I know obviously Mulan is Chinese, but
I was thinking where you were going with
I don't know if they do it.
Yes.
I don't know if they also called their Chinese emperors sons as well. But or maybe it was dragons. I can't quite remember, but I know for sure in Korea they had like referred to emperors as sons as like a thing. As far as I know.
There you go. There you know. There's a hidden
bad,
reference in there now. You know from the artist herself. There you go.
Yeah. And so I wanted to draw the advisor talking to like literally the most important person in China. As Mayor, a pretty simple pony.
There you go.
Who's not really down to earth as much. She's a bit spacey, actually, when you think about it. But I wanted to draw her literally shaking hooves with like the most important pony in Equestria. And her looking kind of uncomfortable, just like how the Emperor looks pretty uncomfortable in the picture too.
There you go. There's actually now you've told me where that originates from. It's a whole another layer, which is great. I love that. That's fantastic.
I was like, I'm sorry about my word structure or sentence structure there. I was like, Korean sons,
no
emperors. Yeah.
I was thinking like maybe where are you going with that? Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm so bad with words. I'm so sorry.
No, you're not.
Everyone listening, I apologize.
No, you're not.
But yeah, so that's some of the stuff that I have done exclusively for EOJ.
That's really, really cool. That is. So like you've done voice acting, you've also done some artwork for it. That's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Have you got any more? I guess it's spoilers. I would have thought hopefully we'll see more of your artwork in later episodes as they will come out. Or hopefully that will be the case.
I do have one. I don't know if I've publicized it on my... Like, I don't know if I've posted it anywhere. But I did a background for one of the Cloudsdale things. It was like the... Oh, God. The stairway up where you can see like a little pole direction thing and the like lockers area, like the, what is it called? Barracks? The barracks in the back? Yeah. I did that art. I'm not as big in the art anymore, unfortunately. But yeah. Yeah.
But you really big role in voice
acting
with Sonata, Case 3. Case 3's her.
Yeah,
thus
it's
far.
been quite the case. Let me see.
I'm really enjoying
Case.
But yes, so Case 1 was Phoenix. Case 2 was Athena. Now Case 3 is Sonata. The really different character compared to Athena is and how she plays the case as well. She plays it completely differently to Athena did. Athena's probably more inexperienced and more emotional, but Sonata's more...
I was going to say emotional, for sure.
Sonata's more, probably, not more calculated and calm. Sonata's a great character, fantastic character, and
I agree.
So you enjoy voicing Sonata out of the characters that you do for EOJ?
It's some and some, I think. She was very difficult to start voicing. Normally, it's not like too big of a deal. You know what I mean? Picking up a character that has already been voice acted or anything like that. But when it initially started, there was like I said, like a bit of a a thing at the beginning when I was cast. And so it sort of colored things that I was thinking about in relation to the character and playing the role at all. And when she started initially, like her initial appearances were sequestered to like end credit sneaky things, and they were so short. It was so difficult to like build on her character there
When there's not a lot to work with at that point.
yeah
Yeah.
when there's not a lot to work with. So just being able to build on them since then, like with I think it was episode 2.5, something like that. In the middle of case 2, she comes out and actually has like a bit more to say and has like a confrontation with a couple people, and like, you know, it helped make her solid in my mind for how I wanted to portray her.
The character crystallized at that point.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And so in this one, it's been interesting for me because I had been getting notes that were like, she needs to be more expressive, make her sound meaner here, or like she's supposed to be yelling here, that sort of thing. And I'm like, but the way that we've built her up is that this is she's supposed to be that level of emotive in her mind. She's supposed to play it cool in person. Like, that's how I've been playing it myself.
That's how the character is, I think. She's more...
Yeah, well,
she keeps to herself a lot of the time. And a lot her inner monologues more frequently than outwardly speaking in that kind of way. But, like, yeah, definitely.
that's what I think. But the direction that I was getting from, I think it was G at the time, was like, no, she needs to be more expressive here. And I'm like, okay, but do you know why I did the way that I did it? So I would have a little bit of like a back and forth and be like, no, I want to keep that one. So like I would give them the other take, and I think it was like 6 or 7 times out of 10 they would use my original take because it made sense with the scene. So I was like, okay, I definitely know what I'm doing. It's not just me. Like, okay, it has to be like right, like right. I don't know. It's just, yeah.
I think
We've come to sort of like an agreement, though.
Case 2 was interesting. Like it's definitely from what I'm gathering from the people I've spoke to and like what I've watched and the interviews and things like that. It was quite for a lot of people, it was quite a difficult production. Case 2 on its own. put my teeth in. Case 2 on its own was quite a difficult thing to get actually release and put together in a lot of ways, like a lot of issues and problems and a lot of back and forth and trying to get the thing out. That's what I'm trying to get into in the videos it might be I'm working on. Well, Case 2 is longer than Turnabout Storm was, a lot longer on its own. And that's just the second case, and it's really. Don't binge it. Don't binge it, for God's sake. Don't do what I did and binge it. That's a stupid thing to do. So I did say to myself out loud, "Don't binge it." What did I do? Binge it. But yeah, but Case 2 is
each of them is about a movie length.
Yeah,
so.
it on its own, which is like pretty crazy. There's a lot of free content out there. But it seems like Case 3 seems to be a bit more streamlined and a bit more together. That from what I've seen we've only seen like half of Case 3 so far. But yeah, it's interesting how it's playing out, and I need to watch them all again slowly to really digest it properly.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
So, just don't. If you want to watch EOJ, don't binge it. Do it a bit at a time, because there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot to
piecemeal will help. Yeah.
Maybe an episode every couple of days. Don't do it all in one mad burst. That's not a good idea to do that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I want the Sonata plushie. I want that. I need it. Who do I pay to make that happen? I want that.
I don't think we have the rights to that OC.
Oh, of course, yes.
Because that's who was it that did the turnabout?
I thought it was Neo Artemis that created the Sonata. I could be wrong on that.
Is it? Let me see. Probably.
I'd have to double check that.
I just was like, Yeah, I just was like, I'm not sure.
You
the
found a
name of
flaw
the
in my
person, so-
research. I need to fix that. I'm glad you did.
It's just pressing the research.
It doesn't hold up the
Yeah.
scrutiny. It falls apart. No.
But yeah, whomever like owns the character, like we've been given permission by Neo Artemis to make the project. Neo Artemis is not part of the actual official thing.
Yeah.
But they're like, yeah, you can use the character, you can do whatever you want with the story. As far as they're concerned, I think they said that it is basically a sequel in their eyes, but it's not like, it's also not canon to regular MLP, but or Ace Attorney. But
no, it's canon. Don't tell me that.
But yeah, so that's why I was like, I would be, I think I'd honestly feel a little strange about there being plushies of the character, just personally, because it's like such a unique OC thing. I would want Neo Artemis to be doing it.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
If they're the ones, if they're the ones that own the OC, you know what I mean? Like, they've given us permission to use it. We can't claim her as ours, though.
No.
Like,
true.
some of them we can. Yeah. Some of them we can. Like with I'm blanking on everybody's names. Oh, dang it. The mom into the male pony into Sugar Stamp.
Sugar Stamp
is one of them. Yeah. And then one of the girls most recent, as well as the High Council. Like, those ones we could always make like art and merch of if we wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of Sonata, it still feels like it's Neo Artemis's to me.
Yes, yeah, that's fair. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. But I'd still.
You could always commission one.
Yeah,
as like
in that sort of fashion. Like, not to make money or sell off it, but I'd just like to have a Sonata on my desk. That's what I'd love to have one just sitting on my desk.
Gotcha. I do have stickers. That's the only thing that I've felt like comfortable making. Just plushie feels so like
a bridge
like
too
I said,
far.
That's like
maybe.
a big investment. Yeah.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Like to actually pay someone to actually put one together would be expensive as well. Like, yeah. As a one-off,
and then
it'd be
I would
cool,
be
though.
like, "Hi, like Neo Artemis, please take a little bit of this money, like as well."
I don't think she'd would. I don't think she's like. I don't think she'd would, but she's quite a private
No, that's
person
me as
from
an
what
artist.
Right,
yeah.
gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, me as an artist being like, I wouldn't mind doing that for them just because, it's their character. So
yeah, that's true.
That's my stance on it, though. By the way, don't go after Neo Artemis for anything that we're saying here.
Oh no, of course not. Like don't like. From what I understand,
harassment, please.
No. From what I understand, she's quite a private person, and like she hasn't really, she's not really active online all that much, from what I gather. So please don't like send emails and DMs like harassing the person. Just please stop. As I say, like I think she made a decision several years ago. Like I say, like when she did Turnabout Storm, she kind of I think she just like. She was pleased with the project, but like it took its toll. I think that's the impression I'm getting. I could be on the wrong track with that, but that's my interpretation of that. From what very little I could find on her old DeviantArt page and stuff like that. But yeah, it's one of those things, and like she did make a comment on one of the EOJ episodes as well, and acknowledged it, which is great.
Yeah.
Which is really, really cool. It's nice to see, like, as an endorsement from the original creator of like Turnabout Storm and stuff, which is really cool. Is it ever daunting to voice act a character that previously had a different voice actor? Is it daunting in any way to do? As of course with Sonata, she had a different voice actor back in Turnabout Storm, but now you are the steward, I suppose, of Sonata's voice, I suppose, if that's the best phrase I can come up with. Is it daunting to play somebody in that way?
I would say no, because most of the characters that I do voice already have a sort of personality or voice mannerisms and things like that. for voice matching, like with Applejack, like with Granny Smith, like with Fluttershy. I've even voiced Fluttershy in a couple things. Things like Ragatha from Digital Circus, that's most recent.
I still need to watch that. I haven't watched it yet.
I think you'll like it. I really like it myself.
I've seen like memes and clips, but I haven't actually seen the show. But like, it is on my to-do list. I've got to watch that.
Yeah, they have I think 4 episodes on Netflix as well as on YouTube. Like, they signed a deal with Netflix to put them up there too. So
that's good. But, I'll have to watch the YouTube version.
Yeah, I think having it, like, it acts as a springboard to be able to go, oh, okay, that's how the voice will work. Like, technical side of it, like, you know, with Apple, like, I'll show you an example. With Applejack, I sort of have to lower my voice a bit. You can sort of hear it already coming through, and then you do the sort of twang that you normally would when you're trying to do a southern style accent, and there's the voice. So yeah, the southern, yeah. So it's like, knowing how to do it in the technical sense really helps to, like, solidify what you're doing with the character. My voice is sort of, I don't know how close it is to the original Sonata, but I feel like we have a similar energy. The other thing too, I was going to say the other thing too is it's like my speaking voice is not the same as my acting voice, even when it's my voice, because Sonata is my voice, as close to my voice as my acting has been, which is part of why I'm so nervous about voicing her, where I'm like, does this sound okay? Like, I'll double check with, like, Soundman and be like, hey, does this sound right? And he's like, yeah, it sounds good. And I'm like, okay, if you say so. But like,
because you're not really, I guess because like you're not really like able to hide within the character, like,
yeah,
because
yeah,
it's too close to your own voice. You can't like use
exactly.
that as a shield, right? Gotcha.
Yep. Yeah. With Applejack, some people in the early days were like, her voice is too low. Like, they were complaining that I sounded too like I was talking too low in my register for Applejack, and like I've had silly little complaints like that over the course of my entire voice acting stuff. My voice matches more of season 4 onwards Applejack than it does season 1, 2, and 3, which is what people think of when they think of Applejack. They think of like winter wrap-up levels, where it sounds relatively close to Rainbow Dash in terms of the pitch.
Right.
But after season 4, her voice drops quite a bit. Like, when you listen to the season 5 opener with the town thing, in our town, or the like Crystal Tree episodes.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's season 4. Yeah. But like, her voice does dip like lower in the register, and so I was like, when you compare that Applejack, I do sound pretty close. But people always think of early Applejack and don't notice the like progression into the deeper.
Yeah, there's 9 seasons of it. Like it went for 10 years, so that's quite a long time.
Yep. Yeah, and the voice was like hurting Ashley Ball. She was getting laryngitis. She was actually going to get laryngitis if she didn't like change how she was doing it. Like, it hurt to do Rainbow Dash and Applejack voices.
Yeah, that makes sense. So like she probably naturally had to like make adjustments to like, so it puts less strain on the vocal cords. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like things like that have changed the Applejack voice. So it's easier to hide behind that because it is such a different voice to where my voice naturally sits. Sonata is way closer to where my voice would naturally sit. And I was like, okay, I'll do my best. But thankfully she in this one is a bit older and she's more reserved, which helps in my portrayal of her, because she's thinking before she speaks in most of the cases. And then her internal monologue, based on the first episode, when she does the like tutorial of the chess.
I love that. That's fantastic. I love that little sequence. It's brilliant. I like.
I'm so glad. I had no notes on that. I was so happy. I was like, wow, okay, I did it perfectly. Soundman had complimented me saying something akin to, like, you managed to make the tutorial sound interesting. And I was like, oh, thank God. That makes me feel so much better, because that is like the level of energy that I'm sure you can tell. That's the energy that I normally have, like, as a person. So Sonata is more reserved, close to my voice range, and is like harder to convey that she is not as energetic, I guess. My sentence fluctuations are like everywhere. So her internal side sounds like what I sound like. And that's why I was like, oh no, this is going to be so difficult for my like voice dysphoria.
Because it's like, it's kind of like reversed, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because her internal monologue is so energetic in comparison to her outward appearance. So I'm like, oh God.
She says more internally, whereas you're the other way around, I think. So you got to like try and
I do say a lot externally. Yep.
So you have to, like,
spaghetti.
You have to like reconcile that with Sonata, and you did a fantastic job with it. That not just in that sequence, but like the whole thing. It's fantastic.
Thank you very much. It is a relief to hear.
It is. But like it's nice to hear someone say it, I think, from time to time, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit of external like confirmation helps. Because internally, I'm always like, I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like, you asked for a podcast thing, and I was like, a podcast with me? I am like nobody.
No, that's stop.
Why would you want to? No, I'm serious. That's legitimately.
I thought
legitimately
the opposite.
what I've been like,
I'm the nobody. I'm the nobody here. Like, I'm just the vessel.
Nah.
I'm just the vessel for the person to talk and not a venue, an outlet, I suppose, for the other person to. That's how I see things anyway.
Interesting.
But like, I don't know. I guess I don't know whether it's a self-esteem thing. Maybe it is, but I guess.
Could
but
be.
We
both suffer from it.
It's like it's like self-esteem issues. Yay! Want more of those?
Hey, we were supposed to leave that at the beginning.
It's too late now. It's too late now.
No. 3 hours later.
It's oh my goodness, 3 hours. Oh my goodness.
Whew, I'm sorry.
It hasn't felt like, but it hasn't felt like 3 hours. It felt more like 20 minutes. That's how it's gone really well, and I'm really. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. That's
Absolutely.
what we spoke about so far. I could talk to you in hours and hours and hours and hours. What else? Have I got anything else to say? I don't know. What would you say is your favourite character in EOJ? Not necessarily one that you voice. What would you say is the best character in the series? What would you say? It can be either from the Phoenix Wright side as well. What would you say is your favourite character?
Oh, I'm a really big fan of Athena. I genuinely
Good
am.
choice.
Yeah, genuinely. I think I've said that before in one of the director commentaries that I was a part of, which is not a lot, so that makes it easier to find. But I think I'm in like 4. But in there, I was like, Athena is my favorite character, and it's because of James. Like, James really sold the character on me, and then I got to see her in Dual Destinies, and it was like amazing. So
shout out to James if you're listening. Hopefully you are. But
hi. We love you very platonically.
Like Athena, I think I'm with you on that one. With Case 2, I was kind of concerned that why are they going with Athena instead of Phoenix? But like as she goes through Case 2, now she struggles and like finds her way through the case. Like she wins me more and more and more over, and like they've done that so well. I thought like by the end of it, like yes, like Athena's managed to get through Case 2, because Case 2 it was such not just from a narrative perspective, but yes, of course, like it was the twists and turns and like it
takes a lot out of you emotionally.
It does. It's like oh my oh jeez, like originally this person was the murderer. Oh wait, no, they're the murderer. No wait, it can't be the murderer. He's the murderer, and like, then more evidence comes up, and like, oh my god, it keeps spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning, and like, oh my god.
Yeah.
About from the pony side of things, then what would you say from the pony side? What would you say is your favourite character? Who I should say? Whom?
I've always been. It's very funny, but I've always been a big fan of Spike and Applejack.
Yeah. Spike and Applejack.
Yeah. Spike, he, in the show, has a lot of the elements of, like, a little brother in, like, a good way. You know what I mean? Like, he's learning things, but it doesn't feel like the show babies us through him, a la Jar Jar Binks in The Phantom Menace. Like, and that might be another topic for another time. But Jar Jar Binks is supposed to be like the
see you on episode 21, then we could talk about that.
I'm sorry.
I'll hold you to it. Be careful.
Okay, we'll talk about it for sure. I'm serious. I'll do it. I'll talk about Jar Jar Binks being an audience surrogate. I'll do it.
Oh my god.
That's sort of what they set Spike up to be in a couple ways, just because he's a dragon, he's also very young, but our audience surrogate has always been Twilight, and so it's sort of like, and then as they pull back, it becomes the main six, and then as they pull back even further, it becomes the students, or it becomes Starlight, and then it becomes the student six at the end. So it's like, but at the beginning, it's Twilight, and then in Spike-specific episodes, it's Spike, and then, like, he sort of shares the narrative in that regard. And I appreciated that they didn't use him to be like, you know, what's magic? How does this thing work? Like, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I appreciated that in his character. And he's also just like he's pretty down to earth for being a baby dragon in this My Little Pony universe. Like,
bless him.
And Kathy Wesluck is an amazing actress.
Oh,
like,
yes.
She's
Another one to add to the list.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely another one to add to the list.
I don't think there isn't a bad voice actor or voice actress in Friendship is Magic, is there? I can't. They're all really, really, really good. I can't.
Yeah, I can't think of any either.
Who would I say is my favourite? In terms of EOJ, let's keep it to that, because we could go on forever. We'll keep some more material for the next episode, I think. But
I agree.
There's plenty to go around. Same with you. Definitely with Athena on like the human side of things, because how she, throughout case 2, she won me over gradually. How like her character built, and how more and more how she found her way through that difficult and troubling case for everybody involved, not just for her, but she. And like the payoff at the end is absolutely fantastic. How she manages to she triumphs in the end, basically. And from the pony side of it, it's got to be Sonata. Even though I'm not saying that just because you're in the conversation, but I don't know. I don't know what it is about Sonata. I don't know. Maybe it's the design of the character. I just like the. It's just a really cute like suit and tie. It just works. I just love the design of it.
What was really funny is that she's not even wearing like an actual suit shirt, from what I have seen. When I drew her, I drew her poses for case 2 or case 3 as well. Her chest poses and everything, like the side ones. I drew those too. I forgot. And so when I did them, I added the collar. That's what reminded me, is I added the collar, and they were like, no. She doesn't have a collar on her shirt where her tie is supposed to be. And I'm like, she's wearing a printed shirt that has a tie print on it. Like the little,
no,
what?
It's got to be,
no,
she's wearing
I'm
a
serious.
full tie.
Nope. She's not wearing a tie. I literally asked that question. And they were like, yeah, it wasn't drawn when Al Javis did it for
error.
case 1. So for case 1 or case 2. So we didn't add it because they wanted it to be consistent. And I was like, oh my God. If you take her tie off, it'll just be a clip-on tie, or it'll be a print on this like white shirt that she's wearing under a jacket.
No, I'm not having that. I'm not having that at all. I picture a proper shirt, an undershirt, a proper jacket, and a tie, all a proper 3-piece.
Yeah, I was like, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not, and I was so shocked because I brought it up when they asked to remove those, and I was like, what?
No.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, wow, it was wild.
I'm so disappointed.
I'm so sorry to have ruined Sonata forever now.
It ruined the magic. But it's just the design of the character. With all seriousness, I just I like that design. It's just really cute lawyer pony thing. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
I think after nearly coming up to 4 hours, it's pretty. It's according to my 3 hours and 38 minutes. My time has been going on for.
Oh goodness!
That went by like that.
I almost feel like we need to split this one into two.
I might have to because I don't even know if I can cram 3 hours and a half into a 128 kilobit MP3 file. I don't know whether it will work. I don't know.
Yeah, it's literally called "I'm Sorry" and then "I'm Sorry" Part 2.
Oh my goodness!
I'm so sorry. That's what it will be. The Sorry Podcast now.
Sorry Podcast. I've had to rename it. I have to rename it, and I don't mind doing that at all. I didn't even get to any of the Star Trek stuff or anything. I've probably got a few bits and pieces I could have asked about that, but
oh goodness, I can quickly sum that up. I was gonna say it's so anticlimactic. I had never watched Star Trek at all.
You've never watched it?
No. The name came from the TV Tropes webpage because I was making a Steam account and I was looking for like what would be stormtroopers but the good guys, and on the page it's literally like stormtroopers but the good guys, and it's red shirts. So I was like, oh okay, I'll be a cadet red shirt, and that's it. That's it.
And that's where it comes from.
Everybody asks about Star Trek, and I'm like, I'm not a fan of Star Trek.
Well, yeah,
sorry.
Cause the red shirt, that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
Star Trek.
Yeah, but it's become like a sort of lexicon for when people are like squishy, expendable characters. So that was why I named myself that, because I was going to be playing a lot of like
expendable
MMOs.
Characters.
Like TF2. I was literally like, well, I'm going to die a shit ton in a bunch of these kinds of games, so I may as well just name myself like squishy expendable person. And that was what I did. I named myself a red shirt, but I named myself Cadet Red Shirt because I was like, cadet sounds kind of funny, like I'm practicing. That's it. I was like, it's gonna be so anticlimactic. I'll just say it here. It's really summed up.
Like you call yourself cadet as like a joke on that too. Like you're working up to the rank of red shirt.
I do. That's what it means.
Is there a rank below red shirt? I don't even know. Well, my knowledge of Star Trek is very limited, other than the memes and the references I get in pop culture and stuff like that. And I'm familiar with the red shirt term being like for people who like get killed off in like the first few episodes, or expendable or squishy, like people just get obliterated.
3 days off from retirement kind of thing.
It is kind of tempting fate, isn't it? Call yourself red shirt.
That's part of why it was like a little bit of, it had like a double meaning for me in that also. Just that was the like a big thing. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, oh, that kind of feels like almost like a nod to my dad, who passed away when I was 9. Yeah, he died when he was 30, which is like
goodness,
way early.
Really young.
Yeah, that's really early for a heart condition. And so his mom was actually, like my grandmother, on my father's side, was pretty into Star Trek, from what I know. Like is it The Next Generation with what's his name? Patrick Stewart?
Yeah, Patrick Stewart, yeah.
Yeah. So she watched that one a lot. And I was just kind of like, I didn't think about it when I did it, but then afterward, when I talked to her a bit more, I was like, Oh, that actually has like a double meaning there. It's kind of funny. I can sort of laugh about it now, obviously. But yeah. So,
there
any
you
other
go.
questions before we?
No, no.
Okay.
I didn't. I thought. So it's not really a Star Trek reference then. Not
No.
directly in the sense that people
No.
would think. So now
Yeah.
you know. Now I know.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. People making like, oh, red shirt jokes. And I'm like, you're literally sounding like the guy at the cash register that's like, it didn't ring up. It must be free.
Oh,
and
my-
I'm like, that's literally
Can
what
I
it sounds
punch
like when
you-
people
can I
are like,
punch that
oh, red
person in
shirt
the face?
joke.
Oh my God, that's a rite of passage for people who work in retail. Oh my goodness.
I agree. I agree.
Give me flashbacks now. Thank you.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Right. I think I need, as a host, I need to start wrapping this up, and for both
Yes,
our
thank
sanities,
you.
because we will keep going out of an obligation just to keep.
I
talking.
have to go eat.
Same here. Actually, I haven't had anything to eat the last 2 hours or 3 hours, three and a half hours, 3 hours. So, but it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Cadet. Thank you so much for taking time out your busy schedule to talk to me and talk about all sorts of things.
You can have like a full list just scrolling past the video of all of the references.
Oh my God, I've got my work cut out. Put it that way. Like I'm gonna have to
I'm so
listen to
sorry.
it again and listen.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming onto the show. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on the show, taking time out your busy schedule, especially with the time zone difference as well between us. You're probably 6 hours behind me from the UK, or perhaps even longer than that, which makes things a bit complicated. But that was excellent. That was great fun. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Yeah.
I'm more than
Thank you for having me.
So I'm glad you've enjoyed it, and as I say, you're more than welcome to come on future episodes to talk about more things, if you so wished. I'm not going to force you, but the
now
door
listen,
is open for you.
You've fallen into the trap of letting me talk about Star Wars. That's that's the franchise actually that I'm more a part of than
But why
Star
didn't you call
Trek.
yourself Cadet Stormtrooper? That makes more sense. Or why don't
Because
you-
the stormtroopers were like bad guys. For
keep
most
that for
of the
next time.
films.
Let's keep that for next time.
All right, see y'all later.
Because I think we got let's leave it there. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. I don't know who's going to be on the next episode. It might be Cadet again for another 4 hours. We'll see. But if so, that'll be great. We'll see on that episode. But thank you for listening, everybody. Take care. Thank you, Cadet, for joining me. Take care, everybody.